Spokesman on Justice Donna Scott Motley says this involves embracing many cultural norms as part of the nation's legal fabric.
You heard our manifesto in Patois? Well, we will recognize the Jamaican language as an essential part of our Jamaican identity. We shall protect historically marginalized groups, particularly people of African descent, through a national ban on hair discrimination.
In addition to banning hair discrimination, the PNP is also promising to advance reforms that will legally recognize Rastafari and the treaty rights of Maroons.
We shall have legal protection of our ancestral spaces and our cultural practices. We will have full recognition of Rastafari as an indigenous religion with associated rights. And we will reach an accord with Maroon communities to give a modern interpretation to their ancestral treaty rights.
The PNP is also promising to expand the Senate to include the diaspora, persons with disabilities, and the Rastafari and Maroon communities. Senator Scott Motley says a PNP government would also improve beach access and further reform the country's ganja laws.
You think we're done? No. We are going to be advancing gender equity, protection of the elderly, and the rights of persons with disabilities. We will implement a progressive beach policy by reviewing the Beach Control Act. We will guarantee public access while balancing tourism and private use. We will join the International Criminal Court to reinforce Jamaica's commitment to global justice.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, President of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, Stephen Golding, says the PNP's plans for Rastafari and Maroon inclusion in the Senate suggests the party is listening to the concerns of those communities.
The People's National Party is obviously listening to some of the qualms or complaints from certain sectors. Certainly the Maroons have had some issue engaging the government about constitutional reform, recognition of Rastafari as an indigenous religion is not something I think the government is in disagreement with the PNP about. The idea of the Maroons being represented in the Senate is something that I myself have put forward in the Constitutional Reform Forum. But now the question must be asked of the People's National Party. How much further are they willing to go in terms of constitutional reform and divesting power to the people?
But Mr. Golding says the reform of the Senate should go further.
We have also said that the upper house needs to be elected, and I don't know if that is contained in their manifesto anywhere. Every step of the way, we have been having to tear down a oppressive and colonial structure and fight tooth and nail for every inch of freedom. So until we hear them talking about a constitutional reform where the people are able to elect not only their MP, but their senator and their head of state, then everything else is just political positioning.
Stephen Golding, President of the Universal Negro Improvement Association.
And PNP President Mark Golding is dismissing concerns that the party has not considered the cost of implementing all the plans laid out in its manifesto. Golding spoke with Nationwide News during the party's tour of Manchester today. On Tuesday, Chairman of the JLP's Manifesto Committee, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, suggested the PNP had no concept of how to put forward credible plans that are properly funded. Mr. Golding disagrees.
So we have our own costings of them, and I'm hasten to add that our manifesto is not a budget. A manifesto is a set of policies and programs for our first term in office. And how we phase that and how we handle that fiscally is a matter for us to determine. And we're mindful of our obligations, we're mindful of the fiscal rules, of the need to continue the downward trajectory of the public debt, all of those things. So everything has to fit within the available fiscal envelope.
Mr. Golding says he's confident the PNP's manifesto will gain traction with the electorate during the campaign.
We have the momentum. We've been on the ground for months, all over Jamaica. We have been speaking to the people about our plans. Apparently some people out there are not hearing, but others who are listening are hearing, and we've launched our manifesto last night, and we're continuing to cover the ground, and we're going to run through the tape until we form government. So we've done a patois version of our manifesto, for example. First time a manifesto has been released in the Jamaican language, and I'm very proud of that. And you know, the individual items that would be of relevance to particular groups, we plan to break out those ideas and let them understand them directly so they get a good feel for what we're offering.
Mark Golding, the PNP president.
Jamaica's parliament will officially be dissolved this Friday, August 15, clearing the way for the September 3 general election. The announcement came via a proclamation signed and sealed by Governor General Sir Patrick Allen, acting on the advice of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. The dissolution is in keeping with the provisions of the Representation of the People Act and the Constitution. It was published in the Jamaica Gazette on August 11. August 18 was also officially set as nomination day for candidates vying for a seat in the House of Representatives.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says his government is pursuing a model of development in which labor and capital can both benefit. Holness says his government does not intend to exploit tourism workers.
We are not seeking cheap labor to create profit for capital. That's not what we're trying to do. We believe that we can use our labor to create value for which both labor and capital benefits. Right? That's the model. If you do it any other way, that is to exploit labor to make profits, then you set the political context for a struggle for labor to get more, and then what that drives is inflation. And what has happened to countries where there is a kind of exploitative model is that there is usually an inflationary issue. And so you find that the only way that wages increase is by, an adjustment in wages, which has nothing to do with an adjustment in productivity.
The matter of salaries in the tourism sector came to public attention last year after several workers protested outside hotels and resorts. Speaking at a groundbreaking ceremony in St. James on Monday, the Prime Minister again called on resort owners to treat workers well.
So the model that we want, and all the people who I speak to here who are in tourism, I've been very clear that they must invest in the workers so that they can increase their productivity, so that they can increase value, which can be fairly shared between workers and capital. That is a must. And in a Jamaican circumstance with the Jamaican history, any smart investor would readily recognize the importance of taking this advice from the government. In fact, following this direction from the government. And that comes down to, for example, our entertainers who complain bitterly that sometimes they are left out. Everything must be done to ensure that our entertainers are an integral and supported part of the tourism product.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Holness says more Jamaicans can be employed if the skills gap is closed.
We need to ensure that we keep all our workers employed, and in fact, even bring down that unemployment rate a little bit more. You probably can't get to zero, but you could get to 3 or 2.5%. We're technically almost at full employment. There are 50,000 estimated Jamaicans who are not employed. We could bring a certain number more into the labor force, but right now it's about 50,000. And we're doing everything possible to train them. The issue with the unemployment is not that there are no jobs. It's the mismatch between the jobs that are available and the skills that are there. So we are doing everything to get our workers skilled so that they can take up the jobs that are available.
He emphasized the long-term benefits of a low unemployment rate for citizens.
We have only started to experience sustained high levels of employment. And I want you to consider this. If we keep on this path of low unemployment for the next decade, it means that 97% of the labor force would be earning an income for 10 years. Once you start to earn income, there is the possibility of savings and the acquisition of assets. It changes the household profile and it breaks intergenerational poverty.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, according to the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, Jamaica's unemployment rate now stands at an historic low of 3.3%. This was the Institute's latest findings from the April 2025 Labour Force Survey. The number of unemployed persons declined by more than 12,000 compared to the corresponding quarter of the previous year.
In news just in, attorneys representing former Senator Attorney-at-Law K.D. Knight have written to Minister of Health Dr. Christopher Tufton accusing him of defamation for an edited audio recording played during Sunday's mass JLP rally. We'll have more details in subsequent newscasts.
In the race to 32, facts matter. Did you know that the 2 years and 9 months between the 1959 and 1962 elections is the shortest period in between general elections in the country's history? Yes, that's a fact. The general election of April 10, 1962 was called in the wake of Jamaicans voting no to the question of whether the country should remain part of the West Indies Federation. And with political independence looming, it was felt that the people should decide which party should lead the country into independence. This nationwide Did You Know fact is part of our coverage for the race to 32 as we preview the next general election.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
It's IQ Optical's sizzling summer sale. For this month only, get 50% off lenses when you purchase a frame. Kids get free lenses with a purchase of a frame. Make the intelligent choice with IQ Optical. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is...
It's 16 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 out west in Montego Bay.
Looking for superior quality transportation from an international award-winning provider? Well, look no further. Choose Island Car Rentals, Jamaica's leading car rental company, setting the standard for ground transportation in Jamaica. For over 50 years, Island Car Rentals has been your trusted partner for reliable, top-quality vehicles. But we're more than just a car rental company. Need an airport transfer at any hour? Heading out of town and want to travel in style with a private chauffeur? Need a truck to rent for business or personal use? Or maybe you need a customized shuttle or tour for a large or a small group. Whatever your transportation need, Island Car Rentals has you covered. Call us today at 876-926-8012 or 876-929-5875 or visit www.islandcarrentals.com to book your next trip. Because Island people take better care of you.
Continuing the news, the state-owned oil refinery Petrojam is warning the public against falling for a scam promising $50,000 a day after an initial investment of $40,000. The scam is being called Petrojam Profit. Communications manager at Petrojam, Elon Parkinson, explains that the scam is using reputable figures to trick unsuspecting members of the public.
So what it is a fake web page that has been set up under the guise of a CNN World News story, saying that the Prime Minister has announced a new scheme within which persons can earn $50,000 per day. And from you see that, you must know right away that alarm bells will tell you that this is a scam, and it requires of you an investment of $40,000. Now, at the end of this purported news story, you're to insert your information, full name, your email address, and your phone number. Now, when the scammers get access to your personal data, it means that they can likely conduct a phishing scam, which could affect the privacy of the information on your phone, your laptop, or your tablet, whichever device you're using to access the information.
Elon Parkinson, a communications manager at Petrojam, he was speaking on CliffViews Online on Wednesday. Petrojam says people should avoid clicking the link and sharing it with other people.
The Finance Minister, Favour Williams, says she'll be seeking cabinet approval to extend the government's public sector graduate scholarship program. She made the announcement at a scholarship awards ceremony today.
I can assure you that I will be seeking Cabinet's approval for the funding for the next 5 years of this program. The Marcus Garvey Scholarship embodies our vision for a stronger, more capable, and innovative public sector. One that is equipped with the advanced knowledge, global perspectives, and practical skills needed to meet Jamaica's most pressing challenges.
Favour Williams, Finance Minister.
Commissioner of Police Dr. Kevin Blake is hailing the Clarendon Police for the 55% reduction in murders across the parish. He was speaking on Wednesday during a visit to the division.
Clarendon is one of those tough divisions. You see a division like Clarendon. I used to be the commander of Year 3, and I understand the space, I understand Clarendon, and I know the challenge that we can have in this division. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, criminals never come together and sit down and decide that they're going to behave themselves because they like you. It is a deliberate effort. It is deliberate effort and the commitment and the work that you guys have put in on the front line. As Commissioner of Police, where we're at the high command level, we sit down and we think about great strategies that we think are great, things that we think are necessary to get the figures down and to keep our communities safe.
Dr. Kevin Blake, Commissioner of Police.
This is a nationwide election nugget.
Member of Parliament for Central Kingston Donovan Williams is attempting a feat never yet accomplished by his party. If victorious come September 3, he'll be the first JLP MP for that constituency to secure a second consecutive term. The JLP has won the Central Kingston in contested elections 3 times since the universal adult suffrage. Frank Ainsley Pixley first secured the seat for the Labour Party in the 1944 general elections. The PNP then won the seat in every election until 1993, where the JLP's Olivia Grange beat out their candidate Leslie Lloyd. It's a feat the JLP again failed to accomplish until the last general elections, when Mr. Williams himself secured his first term, beating out the PNP's Imani Duncan Price.
That was a nationwide election nugget.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Heavily armed gang members killed 2 Haitian police officers in the latest deadly attack on law enforcement in the troubled Caribbean country. The officers attacked late Tuesday were members of a new specialized unit tasked with patrolling a farming community. It's located near Port-au-Prince, of which 90% is already controlled by gangs.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has indicated that Gaza's ceasefire efforts are now focused on a comprehensive deal to release all the remaining hostages at once. The plan previously being pushed was for an initial 60-day truce and partial release of living hostages. Hamas says a delegation of its leaders is in Cairo for preliminary talks with Egyptian officials.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, the PNP is promising to outlaw hair discrimination and put Rastas and Maroons in the Senate.
We shall protect historically marginalized groups, particularly people of African descent.
Proclamation dissolving Parliament issued as general campaign intensifies.
Attorneys representing KD Knight have written to the Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton accusing him of defamation.
Petrojam is warning the public of a scam using its name.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robian Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
More choices. Get active with Active Home Center. The one-stop shop for everything for your home. We have more savings, more choices, unbelievable prices. Wide selection with the latest style. The kitchen, bathroom, right down to the tile. Buy the hottest items on spot, don't miss out. Best options under one roof, no doubt. More savings, more choices.
Visit us in store or online at www.activehomecenter.com.
We have more savings, more choices.
This is Nationwide Tokyo Did You Know Fact.
Did you know that Tokyo 2025 will be the third time the World Championship will be held in Japan? Yes, that's a fact. The championships was first held in Tokyo in 1991 and then in 2007 in Osaka.
That was Nationwide Tokyo Did You Know Facts.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Olympian Sabrina Lin had to settle for 5th place, while teammate Christania Shirley placed 6th in the women's 50 meters freestyle final at the Pan American Games in Paraguay a short while ago. Lin touched the wall in 26.01 seconds. Shirley came back in 26.08. Jamaica's medal tally in the pool remains 2. Lin's silver in the 100 meters breaststroke and Colin McKenzie's bronze in the 100 meters breaststroke. The Leeward Islands were in total command at close on day 1 of their West Indies Rising Stars regional under-17 game against Jamaica at the Sir Frank Worrell Memorial Ground in Trinidad. Captain DeMarcus Scott 5 for 11 and Joel Williams 3 for 30, along with Kevon Fleming 2 for 11, first combined to dismiss the Leewards for 96 in 27 overs. However, the Jamaicans made hard work of the total. They crashed to 75 all out in 27 overs. Only Tyson Gordon Jr. 16 and Scott 10 got into double figures against Kunal Tilokani 4 for 7 and Kasim Challenger 3 for 17. Batting a second time, the Leewards closed on 128 for 2, an overall lead of 149. Captain Tanis Francis is not out 61. Tilokani made 49. The other 2 opening round games, the Windwards against Guyana and Barbados versus Trinidad and Tobago, ended in drawn results. Cavalier will open the defense of their rare nephew Jamaica Premier League title on Sunday, August 24, when they face Harbourview in one of 7 games on the opening weekend of the 2025-26 season. Cavalier, who won the title the last 2 seasons, will be aiming to join Santos as the only teams to win the Premier League 3 times in a row. In other games on the opening weekend, last season's beaten finalist Mount Pleasant Academy will be at home to Montego Bay United. Arnett Gardens against the Racing, first-time entrant to the Premier League. Spanish Town Police will visit the other promoted team, Treasure Beach. Dunby Holden and Portmore clash in a St. Catherine derby. Waterhouse will battle Malines United and Chapelton Maroons at home to Tivoli Gardens. CEO of Professional Football Jamaica Limited, Owen Hill, told Nationwide Sports he is looking forward to another exciting season.
The current season starts next week, Sunday, the 24th of August. Well, I expect us to continue where we left off last season. Again, it went all the way to penalties between the 2 top teams in the country, and they're now representing us at CONCACAF. So I expect the quality to be of such where the standards have improved.
And Hill says he's expecting the incremental rise in the quality of the league over the past few seasons to continue.
You definitely see where the players have risen to the occasion, and then, the number of coaching improvements across the league with qualifications and, their tactics. I expect to have a nice season where, the talent and the structure and everything that supports the competition rises above expectation.
Owen Hill. European champions Paris Saint-Germain staged a stunning comeback on Wednesday to beat Europa Cup winners Tottenham Hotspur on penalties to lift the Super Cup title at the Blue Energy Stadium in Udinese, Italy. Spurs led 2-0 up to the 85th minute with goals from Mickey van de Ven and Argentina World Cup winner Christian Romero, but the Parisians tore back with 2 goals in 9 minutes, including one deep into added time to send the game into penalties. Paris held their nerves better from the spot to win 4-3.
Mendes scores and Paris win the Super Cup. The Champions League winners are victorious against the Europa League victors, and they have shown the spirit and quality of all conquering champions here. Up against it, off colour, but never quite out of the equation. Roaring back late on to take it to spot kicks and then keeping their nerve to win the shootout.
This is Nationwide's World Championships Countdown.
With 30 days to go before the start of the Tokyo World Championships, Nationwide, the 90 FM now turns the spotlight on the athlete refugee team. Olympians Farida Abaroje, Perina Lukori Nakang, and Musa Suleiman are amongst the 6 athletes named on the athlete refugee team that will represent millions of refugees in Tokyo. The Refugee Athletes Scholarship Program under the Olympic Refugee Foundation, in close collaboration with the World Athletics and its member federations, is a pathway in life as well as hope for them and their families through athletics. The trio will be joined by marathon runners Omar Hassan and Emmanuel Kiruhura in Tangunga, and 5,000 meter specialist Jamal Adimajal Eliza Mohammed in Japan, where they will compete in the home country of their team sponsor ASIC.
That was Nationwide's World Championship Countdown.
And of course, Nationwide 90 FM will have live and complete coverage of the World Athletics Championships from Tokyo in Japan. It starts on September 13 and will go right the way through to September 21. You'll be hearing lots more about our coverage in the coming days and weeks. At Sports, we're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Cubby's Baby Wipes is ideal for your baby's delicate skin, infused with vitamin E and aloe vera, and available for home or on the go. The time by Cubby's Baby Wipes is
5:31.
Bosco Bell St. Mary is your newest gateway to Miami. Daily flights are available for your convenience. The temperature brought to you by the Airport Authority of Jamaica is
30 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 31 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Now, PrEP makes it so easy. One pill before you link, prevent HIV.
PrEP makes it so easy. One pill before you link, prevent HIV.
You want to do your thing with your queen or your king.
Or I get a little frisky that make you flex risky.
PrEP, are you extra bucketed?
To help you stay HIV negative.
PrEP makes it so easy. One pill before you link, prevent HIV. PrEP tablets available at your clinic from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Don't fall victim to deepfakes.
Watch out.
Protect yourself.
What is the
For more
TV?
information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or
Yeah,
scan
baby.
the QR code on screen.
Deepfake. No deepfake can't catch me.
Junior, you know say AI can make something will look and sound just like you? One day Junior get a voice note from her granny. Say the food done, the medication done, and she need money urgently.
Need money urgently. But Miss Pat no like ask people for things.
And as so comes Judy get suspicious.
So what she do?
She asks the neighbor to go check pan her. Junior, the lady quite alright over there make her Sunday dinner.
So the voice note a deepfake.
Yes, my love. Come, your food ready.
Right now it look like we have to outsmart the AI. But wait. I really want dege dumpling here, give me.
Me I wonder if AI can make one deep fake dumpling for you.
To learn more about deepfakes, visit www.broadcastingcommission.org.
The wait is over. Spark is coming to you.
Across Jamaica, we'll be fixing 10 roads per constituency. Over 100 roads will be fixed by September and 630 roads overall. This is real action, real improvement, real results. Every Jamaican deserves safer, stronger roads. Spark, the next chapter in Jamaica's infrastructure development.
Experience the joy of buying a brand new Hyundai without breaking the bank. Yes, buying a brand new car should never leave you broke. From stylish designs and safety features to comfortable driving and reliability, Hyundai is the choice. Hyundai vehicles come standard with 2 years free service and 5 years warranty and roadside assistance for your peace of mind. Drive 2 years without service cost and 5 years without fear of being stranded. Hyundai. Conditions apply.
Grace Kennedy's corporate offices at 42 to 56 Harbour Street will be closed this Thursday, August 14, in honor of the late retired Group CEO, the Honorable Don Webby, OJCD.
Want to save money and still protect your engine? Get Chevron Supreme Sin Blend Motor Oil, the blue bottle with a silver stripe. Now upgraded to synthetic blend, so your engine runs cleaner, longer, and stronger. Now available island-wide at service stations and leading auto parts stores. Ask for Chevron Motor Oil, your favorite blue bottle with a silver stripe. That's Chevron Sin Blend, your engine good friend.
Following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
We estimate that there are about 20 to 25,000 who are unemployed because they do not have any skill. They are a loss to our economy. And we have tasked hard to find these 25,000. Go out into the communities, put on your training fairs, have specific agents out there doing your reconnaissance and surveillance and finding these youngsters. Get them into your training program. Offer them stipends and bus fare and lunch money. But more than that, what they need mentoring. Because oftentimes they simply do not know about the opportunities that exist. They exist on the periphery of the system and they are skeptical of the system and they don't believe that the system is set up for them. Your country needs you.
Be smart. Choose hard. The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Paying bills just got easier. With Evolve Bill Pay, the new bill payment service by Supreme Ventures, you can settle your light, water, telephone, and internet bills at over 180 Supreme Ventures locations island-wide, right where you live and shop. Pay, play, and go with Evolve Bill Pay. Evolve Bill Pay. Fast, easy, right round the corner.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Experience the joy of buying a brand new Hyundai without breaking the bank. Yes, buying a brand new car should never leave you broke. From stylish designs and safety features to comfortable driving and reliability, Hyundai is the choice. Hyundai vehicles come standard with 2 years free service and 5 years warranty and roadside assistance for your peace of mind. Drive 2 years without service cost and 5 years without fear of being stranded. Hyundai. Conditions apply.
This is the Race to 32, the battle for Jamaica House and the issues that matter. Your voice, your vote.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It's 5:37 and it's time for the cover story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. Good afternoon to you, Siobhan, and good afternoon to our listeners. And our focus this afternoon is on the PNP manifesto. And the opposition People's National Party has presented its 10-pillar strategy dubbed Mission Jamaica Love, as it lays out what it says is the best path towards a brighter future for the country. The party outlined its general election manifesto last evening at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel.
Wrapped up in the Mission Jamaica Love slogan are justice for all, access to quality education, modern infrastructure, agriculture and food security, innovation in industry, care for the vulnerable, and accountability in governance. Love deals with land, housing and ownership, opportunity for youth, violence prevention, and environmental resilience. Under access to quality education, the PNP promises to ensure every child can read, write, do basic arithmetic, and reason by age 12.
They're also promising to ensure every youth can access training, entrepreneurship, or tertiary education opportunities by the age of 18, and that every adult has a pathway to upskilling and employment regardless of their location. For early childhood education, the PNP plans to reintroduce structured early childhood screening from age 3 to identify special needs early.
They also plan to expand programs to address those needs via a model that prioritizes inclusive school participation. For primary education, the PNP plans to provide literacy support through programs like Veranda Basics, Mommy and Me, and telephone tutorials. For secondary education, they plan to offer remedial support and academic camps for math and English.
And they're also planning to build modern vocational labs in all high schools, leading to NVQJ certification, and that's levels 2 to 4, and develop night school. Well, and those programs, the night school programs for adults seeking to obtain CSEC passes. And for tertiary education, the PNP plans to expand the number of government-funded spaces in tertiary institutions and provide needs-based grants. And these are just some of the plans outlined for education in the manifesto. Well, we have with us the opposition spokesman on education, Senator Damian Crawford, and he now joins us to discuss further. Good afternoon, Senator Crawford.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Senator Crawford. Before we go, the one correction from the news, the JLP has only won Central Kingston twice. The news said 3 times. It's only been won by the JLP twice in the history of that constituency. Just a correction from the news. Sorry for the interruption there, Sanjay. But good afternoon, Senator Crawford. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing quite well. So, let's get down to it, Senator Crawford. We're not going to limit it to just the education aspect, but that was the aspect that you tackled. So it's the best place to start. So I will just go ahead and give you what you believe to be is this aspect of the promise to the Jamaican people, Mission Jamaica Love, as the PNP dubbed it.
Well, the guiding rail, the overarching objective of the education mission is to have 1 degree per household or its vocational equivalent. So most times we say 1 degree per household, we must remind people that it includes a level 4 at heart as a vocational equivalent of 1 degree at the university. And the reason that we have that guardrail, that we have that overarching objective in our lifetime, is so that we have recognized that the households with a degree doesn't seem to have the general negatives, seems less likely to suffer from the general negatives of society. So a household with a degree is less likely to have illiterate children. And household with degrees is less likely to have housing, unsustainable housing practices. A household with degrees is less likely to participate in violence. A household with degrees is less likely to be malnourished or have children who are malnourished. And a household with degrees is less likely to have high levels of absenteeism from school or an inaccess to healthcare as a general reality. So we recognize that those persons, those households with degrees, often have been able to escape the real maladies of society. And so the target and the aim is a household with degrees. The first function, therefore, is to make sure that they matriculate, that they can actually get into the university or get into these hard programs that are both from availability, affordability, and the qualification standpoint. And so when you say you want a degree per household as a general target, you're also saying you want literacy, you're also saying you want CXC passes, you're saying you want primary school performance. All of those feeds into a degree objective. So, as we have seen in our society, there are certain gaps that exist that have prevented the vast majority of our children from achieving these goals. So, know that in the last 10 years, 2015 to current, literally 5% in 2015, it is now 64% in 2024. 5 subjects, including math and English, was 28% in 2015. It's now 18% in 2024. And so the direction is the reverse of what we would want to do. So we have to look what are the reasons that you have like campus to perform well, and then you have schools like Ahis that continue to perform poorly. And in the academics, they call that the achievement gap. The reasons for the achievement gap include early exposure, meaning early childhood education. The brain develops, 80% of brain development happens within the first 1,000 days. And if that is the reality, then we haven't really looked at that first 1,000 days for the functioning component for formal introduction of education practices, information to parents, etc. in that first 1,000 days.
Senator Crawford, sorry to interrupt, Sanjay. There's a little distortion in your line, so we're going to take the break now and hopefully come back and we can have it fixed.
All right, no problem.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 5:44.
Bird Shack Fried Chicken Summer Vibes Promotion. Spend $1,000 or more at any store this August and win weekly prizes of JBL speakers or earbuds, plus a grand prize of a 50-inch smart TV. Bird Shack Fried Chicken.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken is...
It's 31 degrees here in Kingston and 30 degrees out west in Montego Bay.
Truth is, HIV affects everyone. Truth is, avoiding care leads to a weaker immune system. That means you could get really sick. The truth is, the hardest pill to swallow isn't the medication. It's the problems that follow when you don't take them. Let's get through this together. Remain in care. You can live life to the fullest with HIV. And that's the truth. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Grace Kennedy's corporate offices at 42 to 56 Harbor Street will be closed this Thursday, August 14, in honor of the late retired Group CEO, the Honorable Don Webby, OJCD.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We're talking the PNP's Mission Jamaica Love Manifesto with opposition spokesman on education, Senator Damian Crawford. Go ahead, Sanjay. You wanted to ask a question?
Yes, Senator Crawford. I wanted to find out from you, how will the PNP address the shortage of trained teachers, especially in rural areas, when you're competing with overseas recruitment that offers higher salaries to those individuals? Because it's a major plank in what you want to achieve, which is to get these students literate.
Indeed, and you made an excellent statement, competing. And that is why we are the only party that has put forward a teacher retention plan, a strategy to compete with all that is being offered. Our research has indicated that there are certain things that the teachers are seeking to gain from their migration. For example, they're seeking to eventually own a home. They're seeking to have access to a motor vehicle. They're seeking to pay their debts off. And they're seeking to have an environment that facilitates their performance. These things have been seen as negatives for the Jamaican teachers, who often, therefore, seek better, greener pastures by migrating. We, therefore, want to create an environment that is competitive for these teachers to stay. We have proposed, therefore, first of all, that for each year that they remain in the classroom, we will forgive that year of student loan for that year. So it's not as if you're going to the classroom for 1 year and your student loan is wiped off. But if it is $200,000 for year one, then in the first year, that will be wiped off. You won't pay for the year that you are staying in the classroom. That helps with removing the loan and the debt component. We have indicated that we'll give a higher NHT maximum We are researching the concept of $15 million as versus the $9 million. For the actuarial scientists, we don't have all information from NHD, unfortunately. But when we get there, we'll see if it is 9, if it's 15, if it's 14, if it's 13. Now, that would mean that they would have a lower interest rate to pay on their NHD mortgages, and by extension, more likely to own a home. Many people have indicated that the $9 million is impossible, but two teachers in a relationship now will be able to get $30 million, for example, if 15 is the amount. Many banks have used this special interest rate to maintain their best workers in the bank. And when you leave the system, that portion of it that is over $9 million transform into a regular loan at a regular interest rate. So therefore, the savings is a reason to stay within the teaching profession. We have also indicated that we want to give teachers what we call a graduating concession, meaning the longer you stay, the more improved the vehicular concession. So not only would you be able to buy a vehicle, but you'll be consistently able to buy better vehicles because of greater benefits. So, for example, if it is that you're after 5 years, you have an 80% concession, and then after 10 years, you have a 60% concession. After 15 years, you have a 40%, and eventually at 20%, which means instead of 100% duty, you pay 20% duty. That would be another benefit to the teachers. And we also say we're going to be treating the internet as a tool of trade because information is the basis of knowledge. And therefore, those who are going to be the facilitators of knowledge must have real access to information. And so we will negotiate with the providers of the internet to have special rates that we will cover for the teachers so that they can have access to preparation, most of which is done at home as versus within the schools. Finally, we want to improve the environments of the classrooms and the staff room so that they are feeling that they're working in spaces that are facilitatory. So to this point, we are the only one that have put forward a teacher retention plan, which is reverse to the removal of the special interest rate at NHD that the JSD has done, which is a review of the non-peril pay. So persons who are working in deep rural areas no longer get special salaries. Persons who are working in violent areas no longer get special salaries. So the second part of your argument, of your question about rural areas, we have indicated that we'll have a relocation grant for persons who are going to be considering rural and deep rural areas. And one of the reasons for this is that, let's say a person graduates from the university, live with their parent, and is in Kingston. They are better able to survive than if they move out of their parent home, have to pay rent, and therefore rural is not a consideration for most of them who don't have to pay an economic cost of shelter. And so we're looking at this relocation grant to help to promote, especially teachers within the areas of mathematics and English, vocational studies, to go into some of these areas and contribute to that way. So that is how we are planning to ensure that there's an available and interested teacher in every classroom by competing, as your question rightfully asks, with our international partners.
And I understand, Senator Crawford, what you're suggesting. And I mean, I think even the most begrudging thinking Jamaican would consider these very common sense proposals, but it still comes down to, I think, the question on many Jamaicans' mind is the cost. Have you costed these proposals, and where would you put that figure?
All right. So first of all, the public must understand that the budget available to the government is $1.2 trillion. That's $1,200 billion. All right. Now, of that, you have some money that has to be paid for debt and some that have to be paid for salaries. And so each government have within its decision-making, its discretion, about $340 to $360 billion. So that $360 billion, we believe that if we have a total budget of $40 billion for our priorities, it is way within what is affordable, because we're talking about 11% of the discretionary component of the budget. All the things that we have put within our manifesto is below that $40 billion. Indeed, it's below $36 billion. We should have been 10% of the discretionary component. So if a regular individual puts that into its own context, if you're making $100,000 a month, and then you say your priorities for your home is $36,000, then nobody could say that the groceries is unaffordable at $36,000 because it is within 10%. Sorry, in this case, it would have been $10,000. It's within 10% of your total budget salary. So if your salary is $100,000 and you're spending 10% on your priorities, it's way within affordability margin.
So to be sure that the entirety of this manifesto is priced at around $36 billion.
Of our priorities, because there are some things that are constant and continued, just in different ways and different fashion. So for example, in justice, we already have a cost for courts. So it is the addition that we might have for cost for court. A better example I can give you, for example, is school feeding. We already have $9 billion in school feeding, targeting only part students and giving $180. We are changing it to 240,000 students as versus 130,000 students and giving $400. That will move it from $9 billion to $18 billion. So the real consideration is the additional $9 billion, which is our priority. And so, yeah, when you look at our priority activities that are different from the current spending and different in the current approach, it will be within 10%, which is our priority. So the average Jamaican have to look at what our priorities are.
I'll give you a second, Sanjay, but I just want to also clarify one thing. Is that inclusive of the return of the $11 billion to the NHT, meaning the government would no longer draw that down? Is that inclusive of that $36 billion?
Well, no, the budget is $1.2 trillion. The funding of the budget, therefore, is going to be looking at taxes and other sources of revenue. And so, therefore, we have decided that we will no longer see the NHT as a source of revenue. Therefore, we have to look at what are the other sources of revenue. If you look at the fiscal policy paper, the expected tax collection should allow us not to take this $11 billion because the projected change in tax collection based on inflationary impacts, etc., will change that. So the $11 billion that will not be taken out of NHT is on the funding side of the budget, while the $1.2 trillion is on the expenditure side. The public should be reminded that the JLP that has continued to take this $11 billion for 9 years went to court to say that this should not have been done. The first initial take was not to be done for the IMF benefit. Now they have continued to take it, even though they claim that the economy is doing perfectly. So if the economy is doing well, then the taxes collected should be sufficient to run the expenditures that we're generating instead of robbing the trust of its major mandate of housing and housing development. So what the leader has said, Mark Golding, is that $11 billion will be transferred to some of our housing activities because that was a mandate of the trust.
I want to come back, Senator Crawford, to what you have indicated and outlined to help to retain our teachers. Doesn't that risk creating inequity among other public servants, for example, nurses who may face similar economic struggles? How will you justify that imbalance?
Remember, you spoke to competition, and so therefore those entities within the government employed that are being competed for strongly by our foreign partners should be treated equally. So if nurses are being equally competed for, then a retention plan is in place for nurses as well. So yes, there are certain employees within the government sector that the level of competition and the level of impact is so great that special consideration must be made. Now let us look, for example, at the forgiveness of student loan, and that might be $200,000 per year. The average teacher at high school have a duty to 160 children. We have had situations where we're short of a math teacher at a high school, which means that 160 children don't have a math teacher. Is it outside of our consideration as a society to ensure the availability of a math teacher by giving this teacher $200,000 for the year? So we must be competitive, as you said, for these areas that are in high demand globally. The competence of the Jamaican teacher and nurse have been established, and by extension, many countries are seeking to offer them great attractive packages, including clearing some of these student loans as well to go to places like Canada and the United States. So
but Senator Crawford,
that those other persons understand the need to compete for those individuals and the importance to the society that they remain.
Fair enough, Senator Crawford, but what about the concern, as highlighted by the Prime Minister and a lot of Jamaicans, if you give this special benefit to a certain class, when you're talking about a revolving fund, aren't you denying that benefit to somebody who might be coming up who also needs the support from the Student Loan Bureau?
Well, the Prime Minister should have asked himself that when he gave his class, politicians, 300% and gave the teachers 20%. So there's always been a disparity in how the Prime Minister has treated himself and how he treats the public sector. We're saying that there are a great number of persons that we must compete for, as your question correctly stated. And in competing for those persons, we are treating them in a way that we believe we can be competitive. The Prime Minister's argument falls on flawed premise, because at the NHD, some get 2%, some get 4%, some get 6%.
But they all pay their loans.
Yes, but the same argument could be extended that they're being treated differently. He himself have been building some houses and cutting ribbon to say that persons are getting free houses from the government. Is it that they're robbing the other persons who are not getting a free house from the government? 90% of the time, the Prime Minister's argument falls upon just fallacy because he wants to say something. But if it is that you have a situation where persons are leaving the classroom, the negative of that far supersedes the negative of differentiation and treatment of all persons within a particular space or a particular activity. The negatives of 150 students not having a math teacher, and that might be up to 10, 15, 100 math teachers, which would mean that 16,000 don't have a math teacher. The negative, therefore, of 33% passing mathematics and 18% getting 5 subjects or 82% not getting the minimum achievement. The negative of the World Bank saying that after having 15 years of education, you're having 11 years of effective education is way greater than the Prime Minister's perception of the difference between equity and equality. So
let me ask
that there's been equal treatment, but there's equitable treatment that will be afforded to all other groups.
I want to hear a response to this one quickly. The manifesto calls for replacing the Privy Council with the Caribbean Court of Justice. If elected, will the PNP put this to a referendum or proceed via parliamentary majority alone?
Well, you would unlikely be able to get a parliamentary majority alone, because the Senate would still have the need for one JLP person to be in support, which Andrew Holness has gone as far as to have the undated letters signed to prevent. So the JLP, unfortunately, has not indicated where their preference exists. We do not know if the JLP prefers a Jamaican court, a Caribbean court, or a Privy Council. We do not know. We have indicated that we prefer a Privy Council, and there must be some system, some method that the two parties can agree that there is a public indication. We feel that putting the court, the justice system to a vote, politicize the justice system, and to some extent we have reservations on that. However, it is our preference that the final court should be one that understands our culture, understands our reality, and also understand the circumstances of the people that they have great access. Very few people would know that it would take approximately $200,000 per hour to hire the necessary lawyers to go to the Privy Council. Most Jamaicans are incapable to afford $200,000 per year. And so the availability of the Privy Council falls against most Jamaicans because the cost is a deleterious cost.
So understanding the position then of the JLP, is it that the PNP, if elected, will try to have bipartisan support, have it pass via the parliament, or you'll go a referendum?
We'll try to have bipartisan support. What is the basis of that bipartisan support would have to be considered. Let us say, for example, the JLP says, okay, if the referendum says yes, we will say yes. And that is something to consider. What we do know is that we have indicated where our preference is, to have a court that all Jamaicans have access to. And they have not indicated where their preference is, because they are kind of a whitewash willy-nilly type of people who seek to just go anywhere where the tide flows.
But Senator Crawford, I realize we're out of time, but I have to put this to you. Regardless of which party wins the next election, whether that be the JLP or the People's National Party, if the JLP is unwilling to budge on this matter of the Privy Council, or does not put forward what you consider a satisfactory position on the Privy Council versus the CCJ, are we going to still just idly by remain attached to the British monarchy until one side budges?
I don't know about being attached to the British monarchy until one side budges. At this point, the PNP is saying full separation. We're the only party that is saying detachment. The JLP is saying partial separation. They're the ones that are saying half detachment, half attachment. So if the PNP is in power, the PNP has proposed that we want not only to have a Jamaican president, but also to have a local court. The JLP is saying they only want to detach from the president, but to remain attached with the court. So the only party that is for full detachment is the People's National Party. The JLP has indicated that they prefer to remain attached in a court that is costing the Jamaican individual that attains this court $200,000 per hour. And that is a cost that most of us will not be able to afford.
Quick one for you. They proposed constitutional changes, fixed election dates, and the expanded Senate representation. What's the realistic timeline for these reforms, and how will you also ensure bipartisan support?
Well, a lot of this is for cabinet. You're asking for full, like, for example, a timeline for something that will have to be agreed to by the Jamaica Labour Party. That will have to come through cabinet conversation. So I couldn't give a timeline immediately as we get into power. We need to get those necessary agreements so that we can get the necessary votes to change the Constitution. The Constitution isn't changed by a simple majority. It is changed by a 2/3 majority, for which the JP will have a major say in the Senate. We expect to have a major majority in the Parliament, but we still depend on the JP's vote in the Senate.
I know the wording, though, Senator Crawford, it says consideration of a fixed election date and term limits, not necessarily that you intend to adopt that.
Well, we don't act outside of the people. Now, the JLP has acted in a way that the people are now very concerned about the abuse of election dates. And they started from the local government that was consistently postponed for reasons that were frivolous. It comes now to where the Prime Minister, knowing that he doesn't have the numbers, delayed this election and a disruption in the general...
How did the Prime Minister delay the election calling? He was well within his rights based on the powers given under the Constitution. How is it a delay?
You're right, I stand corrected. But the Prime Minister misused that right that he had to ensure that we were in a very long electioneering period. And that long electioneering period has led to destabilization of many activities and many lives. So to an extent, the public feels that there should be greater certainty and predictability around an election, and a fixed election date would provide that. Again, that would mean constitutional changes, and the JLP would have to agree. So we will embark upon it with urgency. However, we cannot guarantee that it will be agreed to by a party that doesn't really seem to appreciate democracy and the fair use of democracy. Just today, we heard an advertisement on the station that is brought to you by the Prime Minister's office. That gives an unfair advantage to a government that can promote its political processes by claiming it to be from the Prime Minister's office versus the opposition, which don't have access to public funding.
And are we going to suggest that in the past that the People's National Party, while in government, did not do the same thing?
I think that maybe when you look through history, you might see 1 and 2 days that they run 100 meters. But none of us have seen this marathon that we have been doing. Yes, and it's important that we understand vectors. There's distance and direction. The distance to which we have never seen this before. Coming into an election, the government have always been willing to suggest what it has been doing and to educate us about what it has been doing. Our government has always been willing to showcase that, but I've never seen a government cut a ribbon and then remove the pipes. I've never seen a government open a bathroom facility. I've never seen a government indicate an opening of an area that don't have sewage contracts as well. So you still have to look at not just the direction, but the distance. I've never seen it to this level in my life. And there are many people older than I that have indicated that this is the first time they're seeing these things as well.
Well overdue for the news, Senator Damian Crawford. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Listeners, as said, it's time for the headlines.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Track and Field's global showpiece heads back to Asia for its 2025 staging. The World Athletics Championships from Tokyo, Japan is live on Nationwide 90 FM. September 13 to 21.
Great start from Seville, who's got a little bit of a march off Noel Lyles. Seville's going to win this. Brilliant rid. He even has time to salute.
How will the Jamaicans stack up? The likes of Kishane, Oblique, Nikisha, Tina, Sherika, and Lavelle, all seeking podium spots.
Really good running on the near side too from Tia Clayton. Tia Clayton takes it there.
And the world will say goodbye to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Watch for Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
She brings the curtain down.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
7 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. The People's National Party, PNP, is promising to outlaw hair discrimination in schools if it forms the next government. That's among a raft of proposals put forward under their Mission Jamaica Love Manifesto presented on Tuesday. The manifesto includes what the PNP says is a 10-point pillar to develop the country. Hair discrimination has been a vexed issue in Jamaican schools, with several students being locked out and sent home for what's deemed improper hairstyles. Opposition spokesman on justice, Donna Scott Motley, says this involves embracing many cultural norms as part of the nation's legal fabric.
You heard our manifesto in Patois? Well, we will recognize the Jamaican language as an essential part of our Jamaican identity. We shall protect historically marginalized groups, particularly people of African descent, through a national ban on hair discrimination.
Donna Scott Motley, opposition spokesman on justice. Meanwhile, president of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, Stephen Golding, says the PNP's plans for Rastafari and Maroon inclusion in the Senate suggests the party's paying attention to the concerns of those communities.
The People's National Party is obviously listening to some of the qualms or complaints from certain sectors. Certainly the Maroons have had some issue engaging the government about constitutional reform. Recognition of Rastafari as an indigenous religion is not something I think the government is in disagreement with the PNP about. The idea of the Maroons being represented in the Senate is something that I myself have put forward in the Constitutional Reform Forum. But now the question must be asked of the People's National Party. How much further are they willing to go in terms of constitutional reform and divesting power to the people?
But Mr. Golding says the reform of the Senate should go further.
We have also said that the upper house needs to be elected, and I don't know if that is contained in their manifesto anywhere. Every step of the way we have been having to tear down a oppressive and colonial structure and fight tooth and nail for every inch of freedom. So until we hear them talking about a constitutional reform where the people are able to elect not only their MP, but their senator and their head of state, then everything else is just political positioning.
That's Stephen Golding, president of the UNIA. Jamaica's parliament will officially be dissolved this Friday, August 15, clearing the way for the September 3 general election. The announcement came via a proclamation signed and sealed by Governor General Sir Patrick Allen, acting on the advice of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. The dissolution is in keeping with the provisions of the Representation of the People Act and the Constitution. It was published in the Jamaica Gazette on August 11. August 18 was also officially set as nomination day for candidates vying for a seat in the House of Representatives. Those are the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
Outperform, outlast, with top performance, Jackama, reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electricians. Fancy select tools, free parts and free repairs. 3 parts, free repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61114. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills?
Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid tie to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
From beach days to business hubs, from public parks to thriving new communities, UDC is making development happen for you. We're building spaces where families connect, creating commercial zones that drive opportunity, and designing environments that support everyday life. Wherever Jamaicans live, work, or play, the Urban Development Corporation is there, shaping a better future, one project at a time. The Urban Development Corporation, making development happen for you.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The Leeward Islands were in total command at close on day one of the West Indies Rising Stars regional under-17 game against Jamaica at the Sir Frank Worrell Memorial Ground in Trinidad. Captain DeMarco Scott, 5 for 11, and Joel Williams, 3 for 30. Kevon Fleming weighed in with 2 for 11. They first combined to dismiss the Leewards for 96 and 27 overs. However, the Jamaicans made hard work of the total. They crashed to 75 all out in 27 overs. Only Tyson Gordon Jr. 16 and Scott 10 got into double figures against Kunal Tilokani 4 for 7 and Kasim Challenger 3 for 17. Batting a second time, the Leewards closed on 128 for 2, an overall lead of 149. Captain Tanis Francis is not out 61. Tilokani made 49. The other two opening round games, the Windwards against Guyana and Barbados against Trinidad and Tobago, ended in drawn results. Trinidad and Tobago fast bowler Joshua James has been officially cleared to resume bowling in all West Indies international and regional matches following the successful completion of a remedial program and a reassessment of his bowling action. James was initially reported for a suspect bowling action during the West Indies Breakout League earlier this year. Match officials cited concern during their first two matches against the Barbados Pelicans and the Guyana Rainforest Rangers held at the Brian Lara Cricket Stadium in Trinidad. In accordance with the Cricket West Indies protocols, video footage and a written report were submitted to Loughborough University. Its independent analysis. On April 28, the opinion report from the university's independent assessor confirmed that James's bowling action was illegal, with deliveries exceeding the permissible limit for elbow extension under ICC regulations. As a result, he was suspended from bowling in all West Indies sanctioned competitions and other domestic leagues globally. Since then, James has undertaken an intensive period of remedial work under the supervision of the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board. Updated footage of his revised bowling action was submitted to Loughborough University on August 8. The latest opinion report confirmed that his action complies with the regulations and he has been cleared to resume bowling with immediate effect. Veteran cricket analyst based in Antigua, Vernon Springer, says that it was a magnificent performance by the Caribbean men to defeat Pakistan 2-1 in the recent one-day international series, their first in 34 years. However, he believes some minor tweaking to the batting order could improve the performance.
Because you have somebody like a Justin Graves who opened for the Leeward Islands Hurricanes and scored 300, and he's batting at number 6, number 7. I really think technically he's a good enough opening batsman to play in the West Indies team as an opener. In fact, when he made his debut as an opener. The other person who I feel that we maybe need to get into the team is somebody like Alex Atenes. Atenes is the only player in the Caribbean who can sweep consistently.
President of Cricket West Indies, Dr. Kishore Shallow, and Director of Cricket at Cricket West Indies, Miles Bascom, says that they have publicly defended the appointment of head coach Darren Sammy. Springer says he's surprised that batting coach Floyd Reefer hasn't been under the microscope as well.
I have not heard anybody call out Floyd Reefer yet, and Floyd Reefer is the batting coach, and he's been there now for some time. We don't have one batsman in any of the formats in the top 25. The issue with West Indies cricket is our batting. So we need to address that to find out, is Floyd Reefer doing enough to be able to get our batsmen to go to the next level?
Vernon Springer. Olympian Sabrina Lynn had to settle for 5th place, while teammate Christania Shirley placed the 6th. In the women's 50 meters freestyle final at the Pan American Games in Paraguay this afternoon, Lynn touched the wall in 26.01 seconds, while Shirley came back in 26.08. Jamaica's medal tally in the pool remains 2, Lynn silver in the 100 meters breaststroke, and Colin Mackenzie's bronze in the 100 breaststroke as well. Jamaica's age group team to the Goodwill Championship should now be in Barbados for the start of competition on Friday. Jamaica's 40-member team consists of 20 male and 20 female. Team coach Lamone Lowe says winning the title is their main aim.
We're all excited. We're strong, we're ready, we're fit, and we're prepared. So time to get the job done. All of them are strong. All of them I'm hopeful for medals. Remember, we're going there to challenge the title to win. So it's a team effort, and all groups will play that part in getting that job done. So I don't see where there's a strongest group. I think that all groups are strong. Some strong, a little stronger than some, but everybody will have to work together to get this feat accomplished.
Lowe says the relays will play a huge part in deciding the winners of the championships.
The relays have double the points of the individual events. So the dynamism of the team will dictate that we win 90 or 95% of those relays. If we give ourselves that chance to win 90 to 95% or all, then that's where the points will be, really most counted for. So we're doing our best to try to get a 100% win rate on the relays.
Lamone Lowe. Finally, in sports at this time, Cavalier will open the defense of their Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League title on Sunday, August 24, when they face Harborview in one of 7 games on the opening weekend of the 2025-26 season. Cavalier, who won the title the last 2 seasons, will be aiming to join Santos as the only teams to win 3 Premier League titles in a row. In other games on the opening weekend, last season's beaten finalist Mount Pleasant Academy will be at home to Montego Bay United. Onyx Gardens against Racing United, first-time entrant to the Premier League, Spanish Town Police, will visit the other promoted team, Treasure Beach. Dunbeholden and Portmore will clash in a St. Catherine derby. Waterhouse battles Malines United and Chapelton Maroons at home to Tivoli Gardens. CEO of Professional Football Jamaica Limited, Owen Hill, told the Nationwide Sports he's looking forward to another exciting season.
The current season starts next week, Sunday, the 24th of August. Well, I expect us to continue where we left off last season. Again, it went all the way to penalties between the 2 top teams in the country, and they're now representing us at CONCACAF. So I expect the quality to be of such where the standards have improved.
Hill says he's expecting the incremental rise in the quality of the league over the past few seasons to continue.
You definitely see where the players have risen to the occasion, and then, the number of coaching improvements across the league with qualifications and, their tactics. I expect to have a nice season where, the talent and the structure and everything that supports the competition rises above expectation.
That's Owen Hill, and that's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:21.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall.
Our Total Tools.
Weed whacker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total Tools.
We rent them, sell them, and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slide Road, Kingston. And lot C6 Jackson, St. Anne's Bay. Call us today.
Want to save money and still protect your engine? Get Chevron Supreme Sin Blend Motor Oil, the blue bottle with a silver stripe. Now upgraded to synthetic blend, so your engine runs cleaner, longer, and stronger. Now available island-wide at service stations and leading auto parts stores. Ask for Chevron Motor Oil, your favorite blue bottle with a silver stripe. That's Chevron Sin Blend, your engine good friend.
Track and Field's global showpiece heads back to Asia for its 2025 staging. The World Athletics Championships from Tokyo, Japan is live on Nationwide 90 FM. September 13 to 21.
Great start from Seville, who's got a little bit of a march on Noel Lyles. Seville's going to win this. Brilliant rid. He even has time to salute.
How will the Jamaicans stack up? The likes of Kishane, Oblique, Nikisha, Tina, Sherika, and Lavelle, all seeking podium spots.
Really good running on the near side too from Tia Clayton. Tia Clayton takes it there.
And the world will say goodbye to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Watch for Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
She brings the curtain down on her 18-year career. She goes back to where it all started.
And she's going to do it. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Live every moment from the World Athletics Championships from Tokyo, Japan, September 13 to 21 live with a kind of coverage only Nationwide 90 FM provides.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robeanne Williams. It's midweek, Wednesday. A special good evening to our friends on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We invite you to weigh in live in the comment section on Public Opinion. Yes? So, the People's National Party, PNP, is promising to outlaw hair discrimination in schools if it forms the next government. That's among a raft of proposals put forward under their Mission Jamaica Love Manifesto presented on Tuesday. The manifesto includes what the PNP says is a 10-point pillar to develop the country. Now, hair discrimination has been a vexed issue in schools, with several students being locked out and sent home for what's deemed to be improper hairstyles. The PNP says if it becomes government, it will put an end to the ongoing discrimination. Opposition spokesperson on Justice Donna Scott Motley says this involves embracing many cultural norms as part of the nation's legal fabric.
You heard our manifesto in Patois? Well, we will recognize the Jamaican language as an essential part of our Jamaican identity. We shall protect historically marginalized groups, particularly people of African descent, through a national ban on hair discrimination.
That is Donna Scott Motley, opposition spokesman on justice. So, for Public Opinion this evening, we're asking you, the members of the public, what's your main takeaway from the PNP's manifesto? I'll start with the comments quickly on X. On our X platform, Jay Brown is saying a significant number of items are things already done or in the process of being done by the JLP. Many of the others are simply appealing to votes with nothing substantive to go with the various proposals. Andre Lawrence on X platform saying it's the same old PNP rehashing what's already in place, offering nothing groundbreaking and leaving the financing in fine print that doesn't exist. He is questioning all that noise for 5 years and this is what they're offering. This can't be the manifesto they're offering as an opposition seeking power. Ms. Chris is saying, I've taken away the glaring errors. Hard to see past so many after the way they ridiculed the JLP's document with one misspelled word. St. Thomas Native is saying what the PNP manifesto is proposing is what the JLP are already doing or already done. Check the achievements book. Nazca Litz is saying, when I was in high school, I wrote an amazing manifesto for the head girl election. I won. Nothing in that manifesto was implemented. I may have been a PNP then. Okay. Sean Millions is saying, it is now clear to everyone why ChatGPT has been giving the too many requests error message for the last few days. Okay. Michelle is saying, nothing new, same old, same old. Tia Davis saying several of the things listed are already being done. Let me see if I can get in a few more. The Patriotic number one saying the fact that they were using a few members of the diaspora to destabilize. Okay, wow. All right, let's go. On Instagram, Ranil Sims, what's your main takeaway from the PNP's manifesto? Ranil Sims is saying that the PNP's manifesto is a recycled wish list with no plan. And the proof is in what's missing. If Jamaica were broken and you'd expect strategies to fix it, instead it's packed with giveaways, proving the system is working under the JLP. Miss Arma Gray is saying, or Arma Gay is saying, my flight is booked and ready. Great ideas for the future. Love what they presented on education. All right, let me see. Economics is my politics saying majority of what is mentioned is already in train by the JLP government. Also, it lacks strong initiatives for robust growth and seems very superficial to say the least. J3T's Queen is saying a lot of promises, things that are already happening, nothing new and realistic. And she's questioning why the prints are fine. The font. Stardy Music is saying, my main takeaway is nothing, absolutely nothing. Judah Thompson is saying, I love the idea. I'm an undecided voter and I think it was good. Yeah. Omario is saying, the PNP has the country and people at heart. Love it, especially for the youth and education. Indeed, this is Michael Morrison saying, straight into the pipeline. Desiree 1972 says the PNP's manifesto was well thought out and well put together. She's giving them excellent with a tick. Just Devai is saying the PNP manifesto is what is expected of any opposition. However, I'm critical that some of the promises aren't manifesto ready. According to Titch, one word to describe the speaker and is uncertain, and he's saying Andrew is better. Let me see. Nothing, all but wishes, says Preston Bernard. Let me see if I can go on our Facebook platform. Let me try to find our Facebook platform. What's your main takeaway from the PNP's manifesto? Over 70 odd comments on Facebook. Please don't come at me if I don't get to yours. Vivine Hanchard is saying, take it away because I have difficulty reading Patwa, although I chat it sometimes. Well, it's not in Patwa, all in Patwa, you know, they have the option, so there's an option. Kyan is saying, 1, where the money coming from? 2, most things already happening, so are they going to stop all of them? Carol Lewis writes, saying, absolutely nothing, it's a mission impossible. Carlington Bartley saying his main takeaway was the absence of the shadow Minister of Finance. Let me see. Will we be paying more taxes for their frolic? That's the question Don MC is asking. Having the manifesto in Patwa / okay, time come. Mark out 1 p.m. says Clifton Ricardo Russell. They need at least $12 billion to fund this yearly. Where to come from? That's what Ava Mackenzie is questioning. Donna Smith says, one thing I can say, if you have a well and have a drought over a prolonged period of time, it will run dry. The basic figure for this budget is $1 billion. I'm sure this well will run dry with all the plans if rain don't fall. And Donna says, she says, no more. Yeah? A bag of burden. That's what Bever Baker is describing it as, a bag of burden. Tax, 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 John Thomas saying, and more tax. Winston saying, there's absolutely nothing the PNP mentioned in its manifesto that they'll do. They only want to get into power. Shireen Small is saying, I'm going to sound like them. They have many spelling errors in it. Too many things they want, re-implement and promise. Then this government is already doing many of them. Michelle Bernard is saying, it's really a takeaway. They took everything from the JLP's achievements. I recall last evening we asked you about the importance of manifesto to you, the general public, the people. We had the launch of the People's National Party last evening as well. I gather the JLP is getting ready to launch theirs. We await to see the outcome, you know. I implore us well-thinking Jamaicans to read. You know, knowledge is power. read the manifestos, see what is of any interest to you. Let me go on over to our YouTubers. What's your main takeaway from the PNP's manifesto? The comments are coming. They're coming. They are coming. Okay. Let me see. The Pipeline Nation Party says JB. Nothing new, only confusion, says Ken Youth Mullings. Nothing new, Zuri is saying. Let me see. Ironically, spokesperson on finance didn't say a word. Derek Isaacs is questioning where is all the money coming from. Mr. G is saying the PNP manifesto was well written. The challenge I have with it is that about 90% of it was copied from the previous JLP's manifesto. This is according to Mr. G now. The PNP manifesto is not going to be manifested by them. Neville Bennett says it's rehashing of cut and paste from all what have already done and some of what the government proposed to do, a compilation wish list. He refers to it as. Morris is saying here discrimination is not a thing in schools again. Education minister said all the time that no child can be turned away for hairstyles. He's saying come again PNP, that's nothing new. Leonard Civil is saying my main takeaway is the opposition spokesperson on finance didn't say a word. Pretty talk, if you're not working enough to maintain yourself after the mortgage, then no house. Builders put up price of house when we get increase, says Nikki Willie. A lot of comments coming in on this one. It's the season for it, and we welcome your views, your opinions in Public Opinion on a daily basis. Thank you so much for participating. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:34.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 31 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Sagicor Group Jamaica says it has delivered very strong half-year results for the period ended June 2025. The financial conglomerate recorded net profit attributable to stockholders of $8.73 billion, a significant increase over the $3.98 billion reported for the same period in 2024. Sagicor says this performance was driven by meaningful growth across all major business lines and a rebound in the group's asset portfolio, which recorded unrealized gains and compared to the prior year's losses. President and CEO of Sagicor Group Jamaica, Christopher Zaka, says these results highlight the momentum generated by the company's strategic investments, positioning the group for continued growth. Meanwhile, Sagicor Group Jamaica's insurance revenue increased by $3.80 billion, or 15% compared to the first 6 months in 2024. Both long-term and short-term insurance lines positively influenced this performance as the group continued to experience strong new business sales. Further afield, Canada's largest airline will begin suspending flights on Thursday after the union representing its flight attendants issued a 72-hour strike notice. Air Canada will be gradually suspending flights over that period. Air Canada warns that passengers without confirmed flights should not go to the airport. The Canadian Union of Public Employees, which represents 10,000 Air Canada flight attendants, provided a strike notice earlier today after reaching an impasse in contract talks. The union said that it has bargained in good faith, but Air Canada refused to address core issues such as proposals on wages and unpaid work. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 161 Jamaican dollars and 30 cents to buy $1 US, 217 Jamaican dollars and 30 cents to buy 1 British pound, and 117 Jamaican dollars and 17 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Roby Ann Williams. Good evening.
Looking for superior quality transportation from an international award-winning provider? Well, look no further. Choose Island Car Rentals, Jamaica's leading car rental company, setting the standard for ground transportation in Jamaica. For over 50 years, Island Car Rentals has been your trusted partner for reliable, top-quality vehicles. But we're more than just a car rental company. Need an airport transfer at any hour? Heading out of town and want to travel in style with a private chauffeur? Need a truck to rent for business or personal use? Or maybe you need a customized shuttle or tour for a large or a small group. Whatever your transportation need, Island Car Rentals has you covered. Call us today at 876-926-8012 or 876-929-5875 or visit www.islandcarrentals.com to book your next trip. Because Island people take better care of you.
Still sweating with that old fan? It's time to upgrade! Meet Glacier, the AC unit that thinks for you. Energy efficient to slash your power bill. Wi-Fi enabled so you can control it from your phone. And self-cleaning because you've got better things to do. Powerful, smart, hassle-free. Call now at 876-923-6521-3. Gaddy's Refrigeration Limited, delivering the perfect cooling solution tailored to your needs.
GPS! Keep it cool, keep it cool. Summertime hot, but we have all the tools. Keep it cool, keep it cool. Enough ways to see it, you just have to choose.
Stay out of the fridge, just use a igloo. Remember your Kisco ice and the juice.
If an AC combo, yeah, hit that. AC for a bit, then a fan after that. Keep it cool, keep it cool.
This summer JPS have all the tools.
Keep you cool with JPS. Download the JPS app today.
Are you ready for something mega?
Spend $6,500 or more before GCT, drop your entry in the box and you can win a 2025 Hyundai Tucson. It's the Mega Wheels 2 promotion, April 5th to September 28th. Second prize, a $50,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Third prize, a $30,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Brought to you by Hyundai, Redstone, Heineken, True Milk, Rex, Walker's Wood, Downing, CPJ Daiquiri, and Carriage's Juice Concentrate. Only at Megamart, locations island-wide. Megamart, best value by far. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
This message is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Since 2016, the National Housing Trust has been transforming the housing landscape in Jamaica. Over the past 9 years, the NHT has created more than 67,000 mortgages, started over 31,000 housing solutions, and completed more than 21,000 homes. Over that period, the Trust has invested more than 343 billion Jamaican dollars in expanding housing access and improving living conditions across the island. That is the largest expenditure on housing in Jamaica's history and in the history of the NHT.
This message is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
You hear the nationwide back to school fair get pushed back to August 23?
What? Push back? Lord, man, me need ready to go Harmony Beach Park, you know.
Yeah, man, but them push it back to make it bigger and better. More vibes, more giveaways, and more things for everybody enjoy.
So tell me something. The book swaps still go on?
Yes, man. Still bring the books the kids don't need, and them can swap it for the ones them can use. Plus, them are gonna have health screening, school supplies to buy, banks and location, and enough giveaways.
Alright, me like the sound of that. But anything else I want?
Then no must. Me hear say them have domino tournament, scavenger hunt, and beer things for the whole family. So make sure you register.
Register? So how me have to go register now for go in if it's free?
Because once you register, you automatically get entered to win the grand prize in the special raffle.
Me have to go call up some of my friends them cause we can't miss this. So tell me now, what the new date?
August 23, same place, Harmony Beach, Montego Bay, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nationwide 90 FM's Back to School Fair. Bigger, better, and full of vibes.
The NNN Back to School Fair is brought to you by KFC, Massey Distribution Jamaica Limited, Cozy Corner, Phoenix Vision Center, the Jamaica Public Service, the Jamaica Customs Agency, the Urban Development Corporation, Friends of the Mayor's Parlor, JTA Credit Union, Stewart's Automotive, J&J Pharmacy, Hospitan, Budget Car Rental, and Digicel Foundation.
This is the Race to 32, the battle for Jamaica House and the issues that matter. Your voice, your vote.
And it's now 6:42 and it's time for the nation's business. The opposition People's National Party has presented its 10-pillar strategy dubbed Mission Jamaica Love, as it lays out what it says is the best path towards a brighter future for the country. The party outlined its general election manifesto last evening at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Wrapped up in the Mission Jamaica Love slogan are justice for all, access to education, modern infrastructure, agriculture and food security, innovation and industry, care for the vulnerable, and accountability in governance. Love deals with land, housing and ownership, opportunity for youth, violence prevention, and environmental resilience. Presenting the document on Tuesday, PNP President Mark Golding recognized the steady macroeconomic gains over the last two administrations. However, he decried what he sees as the lack of meaningful pass-through to the wider society.
The daily reality faced by our people is very different. Wages cannot stretch, prices rise daily, public services are substandard, young people have too few opportunities, and communities across our country are trapped in poverty, crime, and neglect. Stability in the public finances without quality of life for the people is not prosperity, and is why the people of Jamaica are clamoring for change.
That's Mark Golding, PNP President. Well, meanwhile, PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell sought to assure Jamaicans that the party is paying attention to the things they say are making their lives difficult.
We took our time in opposition to consult with the people. This is the People's Party. We did messaging polls. We did focus group discussions. We involved the delegates at our annual conference. We got feedback from the task force, from the different shadow spokespersons. And we have put together some practical solutions for complex problems that are affecting our country. We've heard from the people. They want to see what they're working for. People want to be able to enjoy life here and don't feel that they have to migrate in order to have a good life.
And that's Dr. Dayton Campbell. He's the General Secretary of the People's National Party. Well, for reactions to the manifesto, we're being joined by political commentator Dr. Nadine Spence, and we have journalist and founder of Rebel Radio, Desmond Richards. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Good evening to you. Good evening to your listeners and to Desmond as well.
Welcome
Wonderful.
to you both.
Thank you. Let me start with you, Dr. Spence. From a political strategy standpoint, how effective does the PNP's Mission Jamaica Love connect its promises to the real concerns of everyday Jamaicans?
Well, it is a lovely looking document, that's one, so it's attractive. It's easy to read.
Dr. Spence, sorry to interrupt you, but are you on speaker? Is it possible for you to take us off speaker?
No, I just had you on my earphones, so let me take them out. No, so I was saying it's a beautifully designed document. Are you hearing me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
And so on. And it has a lot of plans in it. It's the pillars and how it is organized in terms of how the plans are presented. It's cohesive, easy to read, easy to understand, and it has a lot of good ideas in it. From my own reading of it, there are some things in it that I really like. I like this whole emphasis on dealing with the matter of hair discrimination. I like that. It sounded pretty attractive. I like that there was a section of it that was focused on dealing with matters of gender-based violence. I liked that there were issues in it related to dealing with the vulnerable and dealing with the elderly, and I like that it had matters in it related to parenting and matters related to building communities and families. So I think that it has a lot of things in it. I've read it. I want to dig into it a little bit deeper, but I've kind of like done a cursory reading of it. I think for somebody who is more interested in the social side of development, it looks very good to me. But then I'm also going back through it now because I was trying to rush through to read it before this call to look at, one of the critiques that has been leveled against the PNP, and we saw it in the budget debate, the cost of it. Like it's a very transformational set of ideas. My question is, can we afford it at this point? I don't know that the plans take stock of where we are in our economic reality. And so that is, to me, in terms of the politics of it, because I kind of have we've developed this frame of assessing documents that come from the political parties and particularly from the PNP, given the budget debates. And I think that might have been something that they missed. And I was hearing some of the conversation that you were having with Damian earlier in terms of him saying how much it will cost. But I don't know that his suggested costing is reflective of the document that we have in it before us. But I do think that it reads very well and it speaks to a lot of the issues that I think Jamaicans have articulated that are concerns of theirs.
Yes, and Desmond Richards, from where you stand on the 2 points there, the comrades certainly received the document well yesterday, but do you think the wider Jamaican society that this will move the needle one way or the other in terms of election results?
Well, one of the things that you should know, and let me point that out to you. In Jamaica, manifestos they never reach the wider populace. In other words, working class people who make up the bulk, the majority of voters in Jamaica, it's not that they don't have access to it, but the manifesto is not something that reach them and is publicized for them to discuss. Now, the manifesto usually is a book of promises, right? That is what both parties launch, a book of promises. Over the years, one of my criticism of manifesto, you see when the parties are presenting their manifesto.
Yes.
3 weeks before election, the manifesto should be presented on time so that it can reach the populace and be discussed among the populace. Now the parties claim that the manifestos are designed based upon interactions with the voters. Well, that's what they say. Looking at this manifesto, there are some areas in it that I looked at. The expansion of the Senate to include other groups. I recall that discussion came up in the recent constitutional talks. That suggestion was made to the commission. I think that is a worthwhile idea to expand the Senate. Impeachment of politicians and recall. This is something that has been on the table for some decades. Now, it is a good sounding idea, But the question for me is, how is it going to be processed? Because what is impossible is an impartial House of Representatives. So are we going to empower the politicians to be the judges of this impeachment process? No, that won't work. That won't work at all.
And so, go ahead, finish your point, Desmond.
So the idea is a good idea, but I wait to see what process is going to be used in order for that to be implemented. One of the things that, for me, when you look at the list of things that were promised, my judgment of it is this. How is it going to affect the lives of working class black people in Jamaica? Now, as I have said time and time again, we have had economic growth in Jamaica over the years. This is not the first time we have an economic growth, although it is, slim. The issue is the economic growth in Jamaica has not filtered down into the lives of the people. Right now, look at what the government is saying. Look at the government's achievements. And when you look and you listen to the people are still having issues because of the fact that their standard of living is low. So for me, I read the manifesto. I am more inclined to look at what is going to be implemented if the PNP wins the next election.
But Desmond, are you therefore suggesting then that the manifesto fails to clearly show how its policies will actually filter down to improve the lives of the average Jamaican?
You took the question right out of my mouth, Sanjay.
Well, you have read it. They have made there are several plans in the manifesto. Several plans that sound, and plans that if implemented, you see. Let me just show you something. It's not the plans is not enough, It's the implementation of the plans that we must watch, It's not what is said now. Because look how many plans have been made over the years. You are going to do this, you promised to do this. When you have the power to do it, have you done it? That is what is important, So yes, there are ideas in the manifesto which, if implemented, will impact the lives of the people. But as I said, I am waiting to see if elected, if those plans are going to be implemented.
Let me ask you then, Nadine, based on what Desmond just indicated, if the issue isn't the plans themselves, but the ability to implement them, does that mean that manifestos are essentially a waste of time, just political theater, rather than a real roadmap for change?
Let me add to that question, Nadine, before you answer. A manifesto without a proper costing and implementation strategy around that costing, do you feel that essentially is a waste of time?
Well, I think how we should read it is this. There's Jamaica and there's what we are facing in Jamaica right now, where we are coming from and where we are right now. And then, so we must read the manifestos with a frame, with a reference. The angle you look from determines the gaze. So what angle are we looking from? When we look at the manifesto and the JP manifesto to come, we must ask ourselves, no political party is going to deliver 100% on its manifesto, because the reality that it faces when the political party faces when it gets into office is what will determine what is possible in the manifesto. And what has happened over time is that our political parties have presented manifestos that were not realistic. that were not possible given our economic and fiscal realities. So then, it drives us as thinking people, those of us who read manifestos, and I do believe that a lot of people will read them, not everybody, but there are enough people to read them, who can read them and reframe them and then present them in a perspective that will say to people, beautiful ideas, wonderful perspectives. Clearly the people who came up with this were thinking about us, but this is not at all possible given our current realities. Yeah. So today, my granddaughter Kaylin told me that she really wanted to go to Disney for the rest of the summer. She wanted to travel and she wanted me to take her. But the reality of it, I don't have the money to carry her to go Disney. So yes, she have a wonderful dream for what she wants for the rest of her summer, but Grandma cannot take her because I don't have the money. There's nothing wrong with her dream, but my pocket, because she's asking me to take her, my pocket cannot navigate that particular dream. And so that is how I don't want to oversimplify or make light of it too much, but that's how I see it. What can we afford in this current reality? What is possible? And so if we look at the manifestos as a shopping list, you're going to the supermarket and you have a budget and you have something you need to do. And note that over the years, this is what we've done. We've had these really very grand ideas. Jamaica is not short of ideas. We are not short of bright people. We are not short of solutions to our problems. But are these solutions applicable given the constraints that lie before us, behind us, and beside us? And if we were to ask for something that was more in line with our realities, what then? So we can say, okay, fine, no, PNP, I see what you have. Good idea. We like you, we like how it look. We know that it can, it look good. But given what is before us, what then would you give me? Give me a more realistic one,
Yeah.
Would they say this is real?
And this question of cost, gentlemen, the PNP couldn't give you any manifesto with any real cost, The best they could do is a projected cost, Remember, they are not in, one of the things that you must remember, that they are not in government now. So if what the plans that they outline, the most that they could do is give you a projection as to what they are going to cost. When they take power, if they take power, the situation will change.
True, Desmond, but isn't that a kind of a partial cop-out, though? Because they do have access to the budget book. They have access to the financial projections over the next 2-3 years that the government has put forward in terms of tax revenue. They have access to the programs that the government has already paid for in terms of what those fundings will be. They should have a general idea in terms of what their priorities will be, where they will cut, where they will add, etc., etc. Is that really a fair thing to say, well, we're not in government, therefore we don't have the information, when that information is public knowledge?
The point that I'm making now is that this manifesto, and so if they put cost to it, right, I am saying that when they take power, these costs that you are going to be reading now, they will change. Because remember, cost is not something that is static,
Agreed.
Remember that.
But and we agree on that, Desmond. But the point that Siobhan is making, the budget is a public document. Shouldn't there therefore be some outline of a cost that it will cost the Jamaican people should the PNP form government? Of course, it will change. But right now, there's no cost associated with the plans that they're putting forward.
You don't see that. You don't see that governments when they present the budget. You don't see that before the budget year ends. They go back to the public. Go back to the public to seek more money. You don't see on most occasions that happen.
It's called a supplementary estimate. I understand what you're suggesting, Desmond.
They present a budget in March and say this is the budget and this is how it is going to be funded.
But right now we're seeing nothing from the PNP. But let me hear you, Nadine, on the same point.
Yeah, and I don't want us to get labored in this idea of putting a cost to each of the things. What I want us to think about is, given these realities right now, what is possible? What is it that is possible? And can you give us what is possible? What is possible now? Because I think one of the things that came out of the post-budget discussions that the PNP had was that some of the ideas coming out of their budget presentation was not going to be achieved in a year. They had put medium and long-term kinds of datelines on them. So it's the same thing here. Good plans, but I who am not just going to be swayed by beautiful speaking, I am going to ask you now, so what is going to be possible in your first term? What you've laid out as a beautiful vision, no problem with the vision. What is possible in your first term? And clearly some of these things are not going to happen right away, some other things, because we need more money for some of the things that have been outlined here to happen. I would have liked to see how that is going to happen. What kind of economic arrangements
before you come in there.
And fiscal kinds of considerations are going to have to happen for some of what is proposed here to happen. So I think that there is a short-term kind of arrangement that is missing from it that I would like to see, that talks about how we create the kind of fiscal space, the kind of efficient environment, how we deal with issues of productivity and growth, that must be heavily attended to in a document such as this one, for us to get to the point where the problems that we have, the intractable problems that we have, can be solved, because a lot of these problems, solving them is going to cost a lot of money.
Let's take a break before you come back in there, Desmond.
Truth is, you can live life to the fullest with HIV. This time signal is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The time is...
It's 7:03. Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We are in the third and final hour, talking about the PNP's manifesto, which was released yesterday evening. Desmond, you wanted to come in there?
No, I was saying, you see, one of the things, that we must look at, in order to address, when you look at Jamaica, in order to address the issues, so social and economic issues affecting the vast majority of the people, it is going to require some fundamental change in how we are doing things right now, That is something that is going to require some changes which are not going to be acceptable to everyone. For example, we want a radical land policy that is going to provide the majority of people with land. Land property is economic empowerment, So if we want to empower the people, these are some of the issues which are they are not going to be popular with some people. So what I am saying is that presenting a manifesto, yes, and as I said, and Dr. Spence agree with that. There are some ideas, grand ideas in the manifesto. But it's the implementation that we have to see. And as I said, let me just repeat myself, to address the socio-economic issues affecting the vast majority of Jamaicans is going to require some fundamental changes in how we are handling our affairs now.
I hear you on that, Desmond, and Dr. Spence, I'd like to hear you on a matter that I think Desmond is hitting on here, though. Is there anything in the People's National Party's manifesto that you believe is so far above and beyond in terms of what it would deliver versus what the government is currently working towards, that you would suggest that, yes, this would sway an undecided Jamaican or even a JLP voting Jamaican to say, okay, I'm going to vote for the People's National Party instead?
there anything there now that I think is...
That it literally just stuck out to you. It just wowed you to the point where it said, yes, this could see a voter switching.
Oh, wow. From what so my lens through which I view a manifesto is going to deal with issues related to equity across gender, equity across disability, rural, urban realities, and some of the attendant realities that come with that, you know? No, I don't see anything like that jumps out at me in any dramatic way. I think on the matter of education, there are some good suggestions that would, you know, lead me to say, hey, this sounds good. But to be honest, even the things that I like are things that I like because we have had them before, and perhaps we need to scale them up, or perhaps we had stopped them at a point. I'm not seeing anything radically new. As Desmond said, in the matter of who is in the Senate, that was the suggested changes from the CRCF, which I was a part, speaks to including other groups, whether faith-based groups or people from the diaspora or other people in the Senate. I think the matter of perhaps of securing land tenure, I think perhaps that is a big issue, a jump out. I think a lot of people, myself included, want access to housing to be less cumbersome. I think that stood out for me. I don't know if it is radically different. I know for over 20 years I've been hearing about this proposal. I don't know that I am hearing anything that is going to say to me, yes, this is it. This is it. I think I like the suggestions on caring for the elderly. I think I like the suggestions related to dealing with GBV and even the thing about the app. Trying to remember, I made some notes and I'm going back through it. I love that. I wrote down things that I liked. Radically different and new, no, but I like them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think there are some good bits in there, you know, and some of them might, if implemented appropriately, if we had built up a kind of efficient and caring society, these things would work well. That's why I'm telling you that to me they are where we get to after we've done some groundwork. We need to do some groundwork first before we get to what the PNP has in its manifesto. That's just how I see it. I think for me to get up and say, okay, these are the things we are going to do. They sound good, but what
they're logical steps in a sequence is essentially what you're saying.
But some things need to happen first.
Mm-hmm. Desmond, the same question to you. Anything in that manifesto that stood out that you see is radically different from what the JLP is currently doing? Desmond?
Yeah. Well, I don't see any one item that I would refer to as a radical change. You see, I don't see anything. There are some ideas there that I think, as I said before, will alter this social imbalance and social imbalances in the society. But I don't see anything, all that radical. I don't see anything radical. But the other issue, the other thing that I think the suggestion or the plans to provide 20,000 students with some financial assistance. So that is something that if implemented, it should have an impact on the apartheid educational system that we have in. But that alone won't fix it. Won't fix the educational system. I just want to repeat what I said earlier. What we are faced with in Jamaica now, and when I say no, it is not just the 9 years of JLP government. Requires some radical changes in how we are handling our situation right now. Some radical changes.
But you don't see that in the PNP's manifesto, is what you're saying?
What?
You don't see that in the PNP's manifesto?
No, I don't see any radical changes in the PNP manifesto. I don't see any radical changes. I see some changes, but nothing that I would say that is radical.
But there is a matter that I think that it's not a costing issue that I think should be discussed, and we heard you on it, Desmond, and I would love to hear you on it, Dr. Spence. This matter of the composition of the Senate and this matter of maroon rights and diaspora's representation in Jamaican politics. Do you see that as feasible and workable, considering the composition of Jamaican's government and the composition of Jamaican society, as in allowing a carve-out for the Maroons in our democratic process? Do you think that is reasonable?
Well, remember, our current system now has both political parties selecting whoever they want to sit in the upper house. So they can do it. It's possible now, it's possible now to do that. So that if, I remember a couple of years ago when the PNP in government had independent senators, or quote-unquote independent senators, in its Senate, meaning they weren't from either political party.
But a specific carve-out for the Maroons, as in the Jamaican Maroons?
I'm just saying that the political parties themselves know if they want a Maroon or a diaspora person in the Senate, they can do that. A special carve-out, I don't know. I remember now, the current proposal from the CRC is that when you're expanding the Senate to include, I don't remember how much additional senators, 3 additional senators who could come from 3 additional places in society, dependent on, I don't remember if it is the president who would make that decision. I don't remember the specifics. I have to go back to the proposals. But I think
the proposal, as you put it, is it would be 3 individuals chosen specifically by the president.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that it is possible if it is a constitutional change that we want. But I think we would have to back and forth as to who those special carve-outs will be at any given time. And I don't think everybody in Jamaica would agree that it would be these specific people. We've had very contentious relationships with the Maroons, and different groups of Jamaicans are not necessarily in agreement.
And also the matter of maintaining that independence, Nadine.
Exactly, and the fact that some people want us to be the Maroons as independent and
the Maroons have legitimate rights to be included in the Senate now.
As Jamaicans, I would say yes, but as a Maroon, Desmond Richards?
Why not? Why not a Maroon? The only thing
because the Maroons claim to be not within the jurisdiction of Jamaican law. At least one of their chiefs has put forward that notion.
One section of Maroons, one group of Maroons.
Yeah, at least one chief has put forward that notion that they're not subject to the jurisdictions of Jamaican law, that they're authority separate and apart from themselves. Would it be reasonable to have someone like that sit in the Senate?
Of course. The Maroons played a leading role in the fight for independence in Jamaica. The only thing I would say...
but the Constitution, Desmond, hold on. The Constitution does not guarantee any special entitlement to the Maroons.
The only thing I would say, if I was the person making that suggestion, I would say expand the Senate to include other groups instead of naming them, because one of the things that I can say, the Baptist Church in Jamaica played a role in emancipating people in Jamaica, you know. So I think they should be included in the Senate too, right? So in order, what I would do instead of signaling or identifying a group, say Rastafari and Maroons and Christians, I would say to expand the Senate to include other groups.
That is what the current Constitutional Reform Committee says.
Yeah.
But no, they would be selected by the president. That's what the current Reform Committee report says.
Well, I believe we're well past time, lady and gentlemen. Political commentator Dr. Nadine Spence, journalist and founder of Rebel Radio, Desmond Richards. Thank you both for joining us this evening.
You are welcome, as usual. Thanks for inviting me. All right, Desmond, take care of yourself.
Have a good evening. I believe we have the Watchmen after this, and then your calls, listeners. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255.
Jamaica's unemployment rate has fallen to 3.5%, down from 13.2% in 2016. Our government's continued focus on job creation is delivering real results. We are building Jamaica. The time by the office of the Prime Minister is...
It's 7:18.
The Watchman. Exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional. Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. A legend in his own time and a legacy that remains. The business icon, public servant, and exemplar of decency, Don Wabi OJ, will be laid to rest Thursday, August 14, 2025. Borrowing a phrase from Henry Wadsworth's A Psalm of Life, he leaves footprints on the sands of time. The picture of Douglas Arraign at the end of his tenure at the helm of Grace Kennedy Company, handing the leadership baton to Don Wabi, and Don Wabi handing it to his successor, Frank James, stick in my mind. It tells one all that one needs to know about excellence and continuity in leadership, and much about the man himself, Don Wabi. The Bible uses the metaphor of sports to describe life. I quote from 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7, King James Version. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the course. I have kept the faith. End quote. Don Wabi's story is part and parcel of the Grace Kennedy story. And the Grace Kennedy story is part and parcel of the Jamaican story. In 2012, Jamaica marked its 50th year of independence. That same year, Grace Kennedy Company, GK, celebrated 90 years since its founding. The late GK director, Jimmy Moss Solomon, delivered the 2012 GK Foundation Lecture. Speaking on the theme, Jamaica and Grace Kennedy, dreams converging, roads diverging, Mr. Moss Solomon did a comparative analysis between the development path taken by GK and the Jamaican nation state. 4 years ago, in a lecture at UTEC, Don Wabi would repeat it. In the immediate aftermath of Jamaica's 63rd independence celebration and on the eve of general elections, there are lessons for the nation from the GK story. Taking the measurements, employee productivity and economic growth, from 2001 to 2010, GK's revenue per employee grew by 38% over the same period. Jamaica's real gross domestic product, GDP per employed person, declined by 9%. Over the 30-year period, 1981 to 2010, the malaise in the Jamaican economy continued, with real GDP per employed person in the labor force growing by less than 0.5% for the entire period. All that time, GK, a Jamaican company operating from Jamaica, was growing by leaps and bounds. GK is one of the most profitable companies on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Jamaica, by comparison, continues to grapple with social problems that drive talent from our shores and an economy which arguably is the world's worst performing relative to our God-given assets. Don Waby's legacy will be kept alive by a grateful nation and the unfolding phenomenon that's Grace Kennedy Company. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
Want to save money and still protect your engine? Get Chevron Supreme Sin Blend Motor Oil, the blue bottle with a silver stripe. Now upgraded to synthetic blend, so your engine runs cleaner, longer, and stronger. Now available island-wide at service stations and leading auto parts stores. Ask for Chevron Motor Oil, your favorite blue bottle with a silver stripe. That's Chevron Sin Blend, your engine good friend.
Escape to Idle a While in a grill where sand and serenity meet. Visit idleawhile.com or call 876-957-3302. Idle a While and stay a while.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Boyatings After Dark.
You hear, say nationwide back to school fair get pushed back to August 23?
What? Push back? Lord, man, me need ready for go Harmony Beach Park, you know.
Yeah, man, but them push it back to make it bigger and better. More vibes, more giveaways, and more things for everybody enjoy.
So tell me something. The book swaps still go on?
Yes, man. Still bring the books the kids don't need, and them can swap it for the ones them can use. Plus, them are gonna have health screening, school supplies for buy, banks and location, and enough giveaways.
Alright, me like the sound of that. But anything else I want?
Then no most. Me hear say them have domino tournament, scavenger hunt, and beer things for the whole family. So make sure you register.
Register? So I want me have to go register now for go in if it's free.
Because once you register, you automatically get entered to win the grand prize in the special raffle.
Me have to go call up some of my friend them cause we can't miss this. So tell me now, what the new date?
August 23, same place, Harmony Beach, Montego Bay, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nationwide 90 FM's Back to School Fair. Bigger, better, and full of vibes.
The NNN Back to School Fair is brought to you by KFC, Massey Distribution Jamaica Limited, Cozy Corner, Phoenix Vision Center, the Jamaica Public Service, the Jamaica Customs Agency, the Urban Development Corporation, Friends of the Mayor's Parlor, JTA Credit Union, Stewart's Automotive, J&J Pharmacy, Hospitan, Budget Car Rental, and Digital Foundation.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis, weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. It's time for your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. So, Sanjay, as you understand, I think a lot of people are asking the real question that is on many minds. What is going to be the funding plans for the People's National Party in terms of their manifesto promises if they form the next government? I hear that Senator Crawford is saying that it would cost $36 billion by their estimation. I don't know how realistic that funding sum is, but it still becomes a question, though. What will be the priority areas that they subtract from in order to put in these new policy proposals?
Yeah, because while the proposals in the manifesto, Siobhan, they are ambitious and on paper, and I heard George on it this morning, it's appealing. We have to question the scale of spending, and the commitments raises critical questions about fiscal responsibility. And when you look at program costing billions, such as the $5 billion senior support plan, and the promise of 50,000 affordable houses in 5 years, it will require significant financing. And without a clear outline of where the money will come from, the risk is that such promises could either push Jamaica deeper into debt or lead to cuts in other essential services. And I think voters deserve to know whether these plans are backed by sustainable revenue streams, realistic economic growth projection, or what? How will we fund things like this? And I hear Desmond saying that, budget can always change, but at least let the Jamaican people see an outline of how you are going to fund those proposals put forward. And I will hear people talk about back in the days, you would have proposals put forward by both political parties. But I think that we have reached a stage in our country where we look at a government that is performing, a government that would have outlined a raft of things that they would have done. We're in a different time. And understanding we're in a different time, we have to move with the changes. And as such, we have to now put some cost in to whatever proposal that our opposition is coming forward with.
I mean, I think Nandine hit the nail on the head quite well, because she said, these are just logical next steps. These are things that any government would realistically want to put in place, but it's a matter of, is the money there and would it fit in our priorities as they currently stand based on the fiscal space? So they're very feel good. Yeah. As Dayton Campbell said, they're simple, well considered, what would you say, good sense proposals. Yes, but is this fiscal space there to put in these good sense proposals?
And I think, Siobhan, Dr. Nigel Clark, he has spent a considerable amount of time talking about the fiscal stability and being fiscally responsible. And based on that, we have to premise the conversation on just being fiscally responsible.
I believe we have Troy on the line. Good evening.
Man, I respect you now.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Troy.
Bridget, when our politicians span the line, I interview them. Nobody with the softball thing in a Bridget. The man Crawford up on the line and said, the government give themselves a salary increase. The PNP is vying to become the next government. That's all?
Yes.
Well, I never asked the man if the PNP intends to roll back the salary increase where the government put in place last year and reduce parliamentarian salaries. You know, ask them question there, no.
I do think that is a realistic outcome of any discussion.
it is a reasonable question based on him posturing. As he said that the government give themselves a salary increase. Now, if they are going
last
to
I
be
checked,
government,
the parliamentarians form part of the government. It may not necessarily be the executive part of government, but they still form part of government.
Meaning the Andrew Holness team give themselves. That was his posturing, my boss. Nobody around the thing, General. When if we ask them if them on government, them plan for roll it back. Second thing, you did the thing last night, though.
Yes.
The General Crawford said the First in Family program is not just for university. He say it also for technical and vocational training,
yes.
don't it?
If that
you never hear him.
He said that if that was the route they wanted to take.
Right. Watch out now. Not free up to level 4.
To my understanding, yes.
Yes.
Which means already the government has made Heart Trust NTA free for first in family, second in family, third in family, everybody in
That
family.
is a good point, yes.
So when Crawford, I got to tell we say the PNP government are going to make tertiary education available to a scholarship for the first in family. I would wink him, I try would wink because I done free for everybody already up to level 4, which is university level certification. Not true, my boss.
I don't know how the tiers for certification work at Heart.
Level
So I'm
4,
going to take your word for that one.
Level 4 certification.
I'm going to take your word for that one, Troy.
Of an associate degree. All right, next one now. Crawford said 20,000 students are going to get $500 a day. Now, the laws of the land say 190 days in every school year, my general. When they do the maths, that is $1.9 billion a year for boss. See? The government don't spend $1.4 billion on some bus. PNP said the bus, them are going to kill off people, pick me, them no stay no good. That means that them are going to abandon them bus and come spend $1.9 billion a year. That means a $3.3 billion the country would have spent to just deal with 20,000 students. Because PNP now got to deal with JLP bus. Because them say a JLP bus. Them are going to do it for them one program. And yet them are going to take $11.4 billion and put it back in a NHT. And them not tell you, them are going to make up this gap to fund the budget. When them want to give $1 billion to creative, $1 billion to persons with disability, $1 billion to people who are grant to get house, appear $1 billion fund them up and take 11
and $5 billion for senior support plan.
Yeah, and then take 11.4 billion from the revenue side. I said them not gonna use that again. Regina mash the man them want to come mash up Jamaica. And I'm going like them want woodwind quick. Last thing. My Bowling said, yo, Andrew Holness, yo, we need fixed election date. PNP manifesto said they will consider, they will have discussion. That means that them not obligated to giving a fixed election date.
Well, he did respond to that and said that, it ultimately rests with the people of the country and the parliamentarians in essence.
But them never know that when them there tell Andrew Holness say, if set fixed election date. Them never know that.
I found that quite a bit of creative writing when they put that in the manifesto as we will consider this proposal, not necessarily that we'll go through with it. The same thing with the gag clause in the Integrity Commission. I note, interestingly enough, when it came down to the wire, they never quite outright said we'll get rid of the gag clause. They said we'll modify the gag clause.
Bridget, last night I watched the thing on Julian Robbins today in the second row. Him not there in the first row, him the minister, him the opposition spokesman and finance. Him supposed to deal with everything budgetary. You know what that means? The money man not even have a talk. That means that the money talk not even have a man. That means that the money people them in the PNP don't have a plan. You understand?
As I understand it, that the fact that he didn't speak is causing quite a stir among the PNP faithful as well. They're asking questions as to why was the prospective future finance minister not speaking on the budget on such a critical day. They themselves find it very curious.
The PNP don't have a plan that involves the money man because the money man is not a part of the plan. You understand? We're gone.
All right, Troy. Thank you for the call.
All right.
Omalo, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Ricardo. Chevron. Good evening, Chevron. Good evening, Sanjay.
Good evening, Omalo.
I kind of, I don't read the PNP manifesto. But I heard, it really and truly, I'm not here to really, I don't really care about it that much. I'm going to tell you the real truth. Yeah? But to be honest with you, listening to, is that Dana Scott Martley? On your news,
at the launch?
Talking about, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Listening to what she's saying and listen to Damian Crawford, I have a view, because I'm hearing a lot of people talk, it's these ideas and these ideas and these ideas, but I see it as something very dangerous for Jamaicans, I see this as identity politics of the 70s come back right back in 2025, wrapped up in the papers of today. I see.
You're talking about the matter of the African descent thing?
Huh?
You're talking about the thing about prioritizing the marginalized groups, I believe it's African descent, that one specifically?
No, not just one single thing, but identify groups in Jamaica, industries and stuff like that. The doctor identifying the teachers because they have a big teachers organization and we are looking to vote from there. So we will give them everything. We don't really even talk about garbage collectors because nobody now comes to them. We're not talking. If you never mention nurse to him, he wouldn't speak about the nurses. These are just identity politics. You are identifying groups within Jamaica. We are identifying the Maroons. We are identifying the Rasta. This is no different from what Michael Manley did in the 70s, This is no different from what Michael Manley did in the 70s. Identifying groups, offering them things, hoping to get power. And all the time in the 70s, when them used to talk about the Rasta and Joshua give them rod to walk with and all them things, it took Andrew Holness to come and recognize that there was a bad done to Rasta and Bob the Grange and them work out something that they could get some land. Not the PNP.
I do have a concern. I share your concern in the matter of this idea of carving out specific group identifications for the Senate, because the only criteria really that should put you in either chamber of the Parliament should be that you're a Jamaican. It should not be based on, well, you have a disability. It shouldn't be based on, well, you're a Maroon. It shouldn't be based on, well, you're a member of the diaspora. The only carve out should be is, are you a Jamaican? And do you currently reside in Jamaica?
Are you qualified to make laws in Jamaica in the goodness of Jamaican development and the good living of Jamaican people? That is what it's supposed to be about. But we are here thinking that we are selecting groups to give them something so that we can get power. That's basically what the whole manifesto is really about. We are selecting groups and different groups, and we are handing out something to you. We are stopping you from leaving. Listen, a lot of teachers don't really leave here because of no salary, because our entertainers, them and leave here and them and get great salary, and enough of them live overseas and all of them things, and them salary great, and if as soon as them get a visa and can go live overseas, them gone. Yeah? So really and truly, it's not really about salary. I think it's more about self-esteem and where you think you're getting. Because most people, when they speak of America and these type of things, they speak of it as they're in heaven, they reach heaven. They're going to be a great and better life for them than here really in Jamaica, building and lifting up Jamaicans.
And it's probably unrealistic. I don't think there's any amount of incentive or retention program that would provide the level of competitive power to challenge something like a salary or provisions of a better life provided at in the United Kingdom or the United States. I don't know if Jamaica is anywhere in such a economic position.
Siobhan, I don't want you to say a better life, a better salary doesn't equate to a better life, because the cost of living of that salary can have you living a minimum life, and a salary in Jamaica can make you have less salary can make you have a better life. So it is not salary all the time that equates to a better life.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So you see, what I see with the Jamaica Labour Party is the inclusiveness of building Jamaica. Not a Jamaica selecting groups to challenge each other. Sooner or later, we create division amongst ourselves. I see they're building inclusiveness, a merit-based system. When you look at this, when the Jamaica Labour Party talk about board members, when you look at the type of the people, compare the people that are representing the Jamaica Labour Party and where they are coming from, their background and their expertise and all of these things. These are things that are valuable to the development of Jamaica. And they are not just selecting groups to say we are giving you this, but they are saying we are building a country where everybody can be a part of. We're done with the 70s, the 90s, 70s thing.
Well, Omalo, for once, you know, I'm going to end the conversation and say you're well on point tonight, though, Omalo.
Seven, we may disagree, but every disagreement is because of a strong argument.
All right, Omalo.
All right,
on point.
Bobby.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Bobby.
Good evening.
Good evening, Bobby.
Yes. Is this Sanjay?
Sanjay, yes.
Right, yes, Sanjay, yes. Good evening. Yes, gentlemen, did you have a look at the PMP manifesto?
Yes.
Well, a former classmate of mine sent a copy to me electronically last night while they were unveiling it. I sat and I go through it, although I had my other political work doing for my party, and I go through it with a fine teeth comb, but I don't finish. But what I really observe with this manifesto, it is a 3-card manifesto.
How so?
Because, look here, this is what the PMP has been saying from when Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller is there, when Peter Phillips took over, and look here, and they kept on repeating themselves year after year after year. What I mean is, see, when I said it is a 3-card manifesto, they are putting this out there to try and trick the people again. No. Jamaicans are no fool. And when I see they put the word Jamaica in this acronym thing to really make it look nice, no, we are no fools. Then when I go through the book and online, and I'm reading it and so on, there is a lot of typographical errors. What I mean,
yes, that we were led to understand that as well, yes.
Yes, you know, some of, there are some misspelling in some of these words, and yet still, you know, I hear somebody talk about in our book of achievement, we misspell Jamaica and so on, but that was on page 5, and that has just a slight error. But when you look on every one of the paragraph from start to finish, Jamaica spell correctly, but they have a lot of spelling errors in their book, right? So I am just saying that manifesto cannot wound the hearts of Jamaican people, right? I don't know where Mr. Golden is going with that manifesto.
I mean, as many people have said, it's a common sense. They're common sense proposals. Would you like to have 500 more police cars for the JCF? Yes. Would you like to see more MRIs in hospitals? Yes. Would you like to see more nurses? Yes. These are just obvious logical things that you would say, I would love to see. But it does not. That's not a policy. That is just saying these are things that you would like to see. What we want to know is, okay, how are you going to pay for it?
Exactly, Siobhan, you know, if I was at Nationwide, no, I would shake your hand. Oh, where is the money is coming from? Even in every budget presentation he give, and he promised this and he promised that, he don't outline where the money is coming from, right? So make I tell you something, I am urging Jamaicans, you see, look on this present government. Everything that this government put out there, that they promise you, they tell you where the money is coming from, right? They, the PNP have a lot of spokesperson inside there. Every time they talk with their empty pipe dream promises, they are just trying to fool the people. Look here, Tom drunk, but Tom no fool. You see, I can tell you, the Jamaica Labour Party have a set of MPs and so on, and ministers and so on. They are the very best, right? And because of the outstanding ministers and MPs that we have in the Jamaica Labour Party, the economy is growing rapidly, and it has never been like this before. Because when you see a government can campaign and crime is done, no other government can ever do that. No other government can campaign and say, look here, school buses coming in now for the children, especially those in the rural area, and they can travel in comfort to and from school. No other government, apart from the Holness administration, have done this. So I just urge the Jamaican people on September 3, choose Jamaica, vote wisely. Okay then, thank you and God bless you.
All right. Thank you, Bobby. Before we go to the next caller, there's something that I think a lot of people bring up, and I think the People's National Party has quite rightly latched onto it. It's the cost of housing nowadays for the average person. But I think what is missed in that discussion is that the cost of housing in terms of the difficulty for, say, a youngster of the Gen Z millennial generations getting a house now is no less difficult in other parts of the world. It's a known fact that home ownership amongst younger Jamaica, amongst the younger generations of the world has plummeted because the costs of housing have increased well beyond the average household salary that many people have today. Because back in the 1950s, heading up to the 1970s, a factory worker could reasonably afford a mortgage and buy his own home. That is not the case today in any part of the world that you could realistically expect to purchase a house as a single earner, let alone even as a family unit. So I don't think we should sell that as a unique problem in Jamaica. I mean, we can try to come to grips with some manners and ways to address that problem, but I don't think we should address it as somehow a uniquely Jamaican problem, whereas we're suggesting that we are somehow uniquely being punished as young Jamaicans in terms of house ownership.
Yeah, you're spot on that, Siobhan. It's definitely not unique, and it's a conversation that we have heard from both political parties for a very long time as it relates to home ownership, and the PNP from a very long time speaking about land acquisition and land title. It seems to me it's just a regurgitated point put forward by the PNP. We heard it at on a big platform before. PNP formed government, we didn't see much change as it relates to land ownership. We're seeing it back to the fore again. But as you indicated, it's not a situation that is unique to Jamaica. If you look across the world, the matter of home ownership, especially for young people, is a critical matter that is being discussed.
And it will become a more acute problem because of the fact that we're having an aging population. People are living longer, and as a result, they're staying in their residences and their properties for much longer, and the value of those properties go up over time. This is just not a unique problem to Jamaica, and I don't know how we are going to uniquely solve it in Jamaica unless we come into some significant largesse in terms of the ability to just say, okay, every youth over the age of 18 can get a free house. I don't see how else you're going to solve that problem. Who done it? Good evening.
Good evening, Siobhan and Sanjay, huh?
Good evening, yes.
Yeah, man. Good evening, YouTubers and listeners. You guys been doing pretty fine, until Damon Crawford.
Oh boy, no, never like that interview. But all right, you know what? We'll take the criticism. All right, I'll take the criticism. I'm not somebody who shies away from criticism. That interview could have been handled better.
Boy, trust me. Anyhow, no, that you say that I'm not going to beat you guys so bad. But Sanjay, is the first I'm hearing you that's vocal in terms of the PNP's manifesto. So they're not about to come for you, but the truth you attack, yeah? I concur with Omalo.
Yes.
That this manifesto, and it's marked with so much desperation, right? And when you see a finance opposition spokesman in the middle of all of this, it tells you that the PNP has shown fiscal management, everything out the door, and just to go and run with it. What I saw coming, I don't really read the manifesto yet, and I'll encourage everybody to read it. But the bits and pieces that I'm picking up from you guys, from your nation visit and cover story and all of that, it tells me that this is a redistribution of wealth. This is something that we have tried before under Michael Manley. He got Jamaica in 1972 when Jamaica was growing by 12-14% per annum.
Mm-hmm.
And when they left government, you guys, maybe Chevron, you probably would know that we were in a minus, a negative
we were treading water. Even at the best of times in terms of growth rate, we were treading water.
In the 90s, right, when every country was moving in terms of growth, we were stagnated. And this is a redistribution of wealth. Trust me, this is, as Omala said, this is not the 70s, right? Because number one, why do you think the JLP is able to do all the things that they are doing? Because they pay down the debt. A man who was telling us now to take up $40 billion from out of the International Reserve and just give it away. Here now we have a Sparks that is costing us $45 billion. And if the same man is going to come and tell us that we now fix road and we now do that now. So we must take up $40 billion and give it to people for nothing at all. What kind of situation is that?
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. No one can deny, if you really read that manifesto, that it contains strong, well-intentioned ideas that speaks directly to the needs of Jamaicans, right? But you see it, affordable housing, the scholarships that they talk about, increased social services, but we have to look on the spending because every one of these proposals carries a significant price tag. And really without a clear, credible plan for how they will finance them, it really risks us being unsustainable. Yeah.
One last point before I run. You see, I heard a lady saying that all the houses now, the minimum 2-bedroom is for $40 million. Is that true that this is the cheapest housing trust? So that's not true. That's just a propaganda. But what I really want to say though, Trevor, when Damon Crawford came on, Sanjay stopped him in trouble because he was trying to pull a false lie on you that the Prime Minister was delayed in calling the election when the election don't do because he still have at least 2 to 3 months to call the election.
That is true. I'm not sure where he got this idea because we're well within the constitutional limit. As I understand, that can go all the way up to December.
Right. And then
but I don't think any government would want to wait that long.
The one against Russia, Chauvin, as someone who teach mathematics and he has a master's in mathematics, right? That Damon Crawford, and he said that the government paid themselves 300%. That is not true, and it's about time now we debunk that lie, like the 28 bank account lie and all of those things.
No, but it's an absurd premise. Firstly, the amount the government got, I don't think it was quite 300%. I think it was somewhere above 200%. But that was after what? I believe it was almost 9-10 years of a parliamentary wage freeze.
15, it's almost 15
thank you, 15 years
right?
of a parliamentary wage freeze during that same period when civil servants got repeated increases over that period.
Let us dissect it clearly now so that everybody understands that 40% the government paid themselves, because if they haven't gotten a raise from 15 years, right? So every 2 years, the public sector get them 20%. So therefore, if you divide the 15 by 2, you're going to get 7.5. 7.5 times 40 gives you 300%. So therefore, it's really 40% they actually get it. When you prorate it, like if you were selling over the years that they weren't getting
but that's the least of it, Carla.
And Damien who teach mathematics supposed to know better than that.
That's the least of the issue because it's so disingenuous on so many levels. First, there are many civil servant groups within that wage restructuring that got upwards of 250% increases. Secondly, how much do you think parliamentarians take in terms of the public coffers in wages? It's less than 3% of the overall budget? It's absurd.
The Prime Minister, if he taking salary, because he's doing all of this work. Look at the performances and the achievement. And the man that taking salary, and a man who takes his salary now, I go on and I criticize when he take it. Him shouldn't take it then.
What I would find poetic is if the People's National Party wins the next election, Mark Golding realizes he's actually getting a pay cut. Because at this point he earns twice, if not 3 times, what the Prime Minister earns.
Yeah, and the question that the man asks if them have a role about the salary. It's a joke, man. Them also mash up Jamaica, man. It's a redistribute. Them going back in a Michael, man, the thing, man. Thanks for having me, yeah?
All right. Thank you, Donate. Before we wrap up, listeners, I wanted to play back Mark Golding's clip where he spoke to this concern about funding. I asked Dana to cue it up. Is it there? Go ahead.
So we have our own costings of them, and I'm hasten to add that our manifesto is not a budget. A manifesto is a set of policies and programs for our first term in office. And how we phase that and how we handle that fiscally is a matter for us to determine. And we're mindful of our obligations, we're mindful of the fiscal rules, of the need to continue the downward trajectory of the public debt, all of those things. So everything has to fit within the available fiscal envelope.
So that, listeners, amounts, in my opinion, to him just saying to be decided. Essentially, they're mindful of the considerations, but you've put forward this document where you're suggesting that you'll put it in place within your first term, and what you're saying that you're mindful of the considerations.
But Jamaicans deserve more than just technicalities. A manifesto may not be a budget, but it's a promise without a realistic funding plan. Risk being empty. Every dollar promised in a manifesto will eventually have to come from somewhere. So we need to have a framework. Is it higher taxes? Is it more borrowing? Is it cutting to other services? We need to know.
Well, that's where we have to wrap it up, listeners. Thank you for joining us. Thanks to our super producer, Dana Davey, our technical operator, Andrew the Glenn Boogs Anderson, my compatriots, led by the capable Ricardo Brooks and Cara Powell. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis, wishing for you a wonderful evening.